Okay, we should be live now. Just make sure. Yeah. Okay, we're live. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Me either.
Have to refresh probably.
Yeah, me too. Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
I
there it
There
need
it
to
goes.
refresh.
Okay, got it. All right. Welcome to the 2 Cents Podcast, where we give our 2 cents. I am your host, GGton Live, and we also have with me my co-host,
Lisa, but you can call me Money.
and we
The other host.
have our guest co-host today for the first time.
My name is Tiff. Tiff Marie JPEG on Twitch, but you probably saw me on the first episode.
Hey.
Welcome back, Tiff.
And we have
Thank you
our
for having
esteemed,
me.
honored guest here today, Ali. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm Ali. No handles, no fame or repute to speak of, just some rando that was invited here.
Hey.
EJ's childhood friend. He's a great role model of mine and a all-around great guy.
Hey.
And I'm here, really excited to be here with Money and Tiff. I've heard a lot about them, and they have thus far lived up to their reputations, which was such a rare thing to do, right?
Hey, let's go.
Wow.
Okay.
What'd they say?
I'm
just kidding.
Nothing but EJ,
Good
I'm
things,
capable of saying
right?
anything but good things. Every good thing you can imagine.
Oh, thank you.
So
Thank you.
I-
I'll take it.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk today about job security. I brought my friend Ali here to talk about it. He works in the IT field. So we're gonna partially talk about that. But we're also gonna do some Am I the Asshole stories. I couldn't necessarily find anyone's many that were related to just like what it feels like to losing your job, but there are some related. So I'm gonna pull those up real quick. And then I'll post the first one in the chat. Okay. And this one is about a manager employee getting the manager fired. So I'm gonna read that real quick and then we can give our takes. Okay.
Oh, before you read,
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to move the little PNG Discord things
Oh, hold on.
because they're right next to me. Unless you're okay with
Oh, I mean, no, I can move them.
them being right next to
Oh,
my
they're on the
face.
other
I'll
side.
move them.
Oh, I'll do this.
Here we go. I moved it right here. Yeah, I still don't know why mine is not working for some reason. That's so weird.
That's so weird.
Anyway.
Did you set up the group version of it?
Yeah, I don't
set up
I
the-
don't know. It's
Oh,
just finicky.
have to do
for
this
me.
off
Probably,
stream.
yeah, probably messed up. Okay. So I'm gonna read the first one. All right. Continue. Am I the asshole for getting my manager fired? Years ago, I worked in a movie theater. There were two managers dating employees. Manager Tim dated Kathy, and manager Max dated Allie. Max and Allie got caught by the GM doing the snoo snoo in the office. General manager is upset, so Allie now had beef with him. Allie and Kathy were close until Allie decides to invite Tim over and ride him like a pony. Okay, I didn't know it was a spicy side, but anyway.
Sorry.
If you were familiar with Genuine, you might know this song. Anyway, she did it with other guys too, but they're all single. She was 17 and the guys in their early 20s. Both couples stayed together. Allie was flirtatious with me until she found out I go the other way. By now, the two girls hate each other and talk smack. I thought it was hysterical. Allie gets into an argument with the GM and quits. She still visited to see Max. Eventually they break up, but she worked nearby, so she still came to hit on and or manhandle guys. We got Danny Clover to show up at our I think Danny Clover. I think he meant Danny Glover to show up at our theater, unless there's Danny Clover. I don't know. There's a tradition there for celebrities. They signed a wall on the emergency stairwell. Kathy just so happens to be smoking weed in said stairwell. Upper management walks in with Danny Clover and sees her high as a rocket. She's fired on the spot. Her family just moved to a new city, so she gets a job there. She and Tim are already running on fumes. They break up. Timmy and Kathy are friends with another person, Beth. After the breakup, friends took sides. One day, as they're closing together, Tim bawls and cries, saying he doesn't want to lose Beth's friendship. A few days later, she invites him over. I think you guys know where this goes. Once again, this man puts his hot dog in a pair of buns. Ain't no way. No idea.
The Shakespeare of our time.
Yeah. I mean, he wrote a narrative.
He didn't really need to do
Yeah,
that.
no,
but-
he didn't, but he's having fun on Reddit. No idea how he's not attractive at all. Thing is, she had a boyfriend. I don't know how her boyfriend found out, but he found out. So did everybody else. Not a single person in that building didn't know. Beth blames Tim for getting dumped and quits. She writes a Yelp review saying managers sexually harass employees. I sent my 2 weeks notice. There were new registers and floorboards installed. The regional manager came to interview us all about it. He's third in command in the entire company, so it's a big deal. It's my turn to get interviewed. I'm leaving anyway, so I have nothing to lose. I told him everything. Not only what I just wrote, but everything that happened there. 20 different tales going on at once. Somebody could have made a TV show. I left and started a new job. A few weeks pass, and my friend sends me a screenshot of an email. The man was fired. I felt bad about it, but Beth was good at her job, so we lost a good worker because of him. If he hadn't been fired, who knows how many girls would have fallen victim to this little turd. He was perfectly capable of keeping his pants on. Still, he wouldn't have been fired if he snitched. Am I the asshole?
Holy-
Wait, who got fired?
the man.
The regional manager?
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
There was a lot of names thrown around.
Yeah,
There
because this
was.
man
There
wasn't
were
a-
so I
okay.
couldn't
Hold on,
keep
I'm just gonna
up.
go. Beth blames Tim for getting dumped and quits. Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. And then she puts the
She
Yelp review
she
saying
writes a
that the
review saying
manager.
managers sexually harass employees. I sent my 2
Well,
weeks
I
notice.
mean-
Oh, okay. So no idea how he's not attractive at all. Thing is, she had a boyfriend. I don't know how her boyfriend found out, but he found out. So did everybody else. Not a single person in that building didn't know. Beth blames Tim for getting dumped and quits. She writes a Yelp review saying managers sexually harass employees. I sent my 2 weeks notice. There were new registers and floorboards installed. The regional manager came to interview us about it. He's the third in command in the entire company, so it's a big deal. And then he says he tells them everything. Oh, so the guy that
Tim.
lied and said that, yeah, Tim. He lied and said that he was missing her. So he was taking advantage of her, and then somehow her boyfriend found out. So she, in spite, she wrote that she was saying that managers sexually harass employees. So
I mean, it's still true.
yeah, it's true.
He still
But
did
I was
do
gonna
that.
say,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
I mean,
not
it can
wrong.
be
Mhm.
like seen as consensual or whatever, but there's still a power dynamic in play. And if it's multiple
sure.
female employees,
Mhm.
there's most likely an age dynamic in play here as
Mhm.
well, because managers tend to be older than the newer employees.
Mhm.
So whether it was done out of spite or all that doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
The baseline is he still did this, and he still deserved to lose his job.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's anybody else's responsibility but his, because you're living a messy life.
Yeah.
You're using whatever position you've gotten up to as a segue to, like, I don't know, weirdly prey on
Abuse
people.
people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. There's no
Two
reason.
minor? One of them was a minor?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
It's a minor?
Yeah, he said
Allie, what'd you do?
17. He said
Allie.
17, so there's no way, you know.
Ali, what are you doing in the story? Because it's Ali. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
I was like, wait, hold on.
Because it's Ali in
I
the
know.
story, and then Ali.
There's so many
yeah.
twists to this story,
Yeah.
so I was like,
I was like, where does he?
Where did he come in? Yeah,
Oh, you can see.
Ali. I was like,
Sorry, it was a bad joke.
no.
It's a bad joke.
I just didn't get it. I was like, wait.
Sorry. I get
No.
it. I still don't get it.
No, okay. So in the story, there's an
somebody
alley.
named Ali. Apparently.
I'm so.
There's
sorry.
Ali in the story.
This is the kind of discrimination
man
that
named
I
Ali.
try to avoid at Starbucks when I
Ali,
pick up
Ali,
my order and
Ali,
they call me
Ali.
Ali, and
I
it's
got
Ali.
it. No, because
I didn't think I would have to
literally
face it
looked for
on
Ali.
this podcast as
Well,
well.
to be fair, they do the same thing to me. I'll be like, my name is Elias. They're like, Elias. I'm like,
Okay.
I'll take it. Yeah. So what do you think,
Oh my
Money? Do you think that
gosh.
this guy is the asshole?
No.
Because he said that like the
No.
guy wouldn't have been fired if he snitched.
No.
I mean,
No, not the
nah,
asshole.
you need to get up.
I like what Ali like. It's definitely power dynamics. The fact that there were some minors involved too,
Mhm.
and it's definitely like taking advantage of your employees.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
That's not good. And also, yeah, like even you know,
It's
who cares?
inappropriate.
Yeah, it's just not appropriate. It's workplace misconduct. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
ethical either.
Mhm.
Professional.
Yeah.
What about you, Tiff? Think he's the asshole?
Well, so far I agree with what everyone said. I think that you guys have summed it up.
Mhm.
You know, I'd say all the same things. It's just not professional. It's there. I don't think that I can imagine a situation where that would be considered appropriate. You know, even so, like even if they were of age
Mhm.
or if they were both 30 years old, you know, like it's not like that would fix the issue.
Mhm.
There's a bunch of issues, and it's you're a manager. You shouldn't be engaging in relationships with your employees that encourages favoritism,
Mhm.
and that's not a fair work environment.
Mhm.
And then, you know, clearly there's that power dynamic where now you're a manager and you're taking advantage of that and you're breaking like rules just to groom children. Like it's really weird.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, he had it coming. It sucks that people like him keep their job for way too long.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if this person never reported them, they'd probably still be working there
Yeah. Very true.
because people don't see an issue in it. Or people don't really have the energy, I guess, because I wouldn't say they don't care, because I feel like we all have been victims of something that we had the opportunity to report, but we didn't because we were afraid we weren't going to get the justification we wanted, or there were repercussions, like especially if it's in the workplace, right? You're like, oh well, what if now I'm going to be addressed by this person? I don't want this and that, you know. So if anything, this person should be proud of themselves for actually,
Yeah.
you know,
Make
doing
difference
it.
in the world, yeah.
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 Also,
Something we all
welcome in
dream about
chat.
doing, and then we always feel like the problem is too big for us. That we are way too small and insignificant compared to the systemic thing that's been probably going on since before you got hired, and it's going to be here
Right.
after you leave. Somebody's brave about it. They shouldn't feel like an asshole.
Yeah.
Right. Even though it's easy to feel guilty when nobody else does it.
Yeah.
You know, because people will make you feel like you're wrong for doing
Yeah.
it.
Because they're
I
like,
have a
don't
family.
snitch.
How
You know.
could you?
Mhm.
You know, I'm just going through a divorce, and now suddenly you've been gaslit to believe it's your fault that this man's life is ruined.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. I hope they got all the reassurance they needed, because that's not a guilt anybody should be living with. That
Yeah.
is like a piece of caca
At
that
the
doesn't even deserve to be
same-
in my thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, I
Like-
can't really well, it's like at the same time you see this is happening, maybe you should have reported it earlier. But it's like
Yeah.
oh, you only
Okay.
did it because you're on your way out and there's no I mean, I don't know.
But yes, that aids in
Life
what I
is
was saying
not
too.
yeah, life is not black and white, right? So like
It's
you gotta
tough.
eat. You gotta eat. And that's understandable why he would only do it on your way out.
Yeah.
But yeah, would have hoped that he did it earlier, seeing that some people are
True.
yeah.
Got roped in.
Right.
Okay, so I guess we all agree that this guy is not the asshole. So I'm gonna post the
Nope.
next story in the chat, and this one is hold on. Am I the asshole for ratting out my assistant/colleague and getting her fired to save my own job? Money, do you want to read that one?
I know how it sounds, but please read before you judge. I've 30 male, worked at my current employer for 3 years. Last year, March 2020, I received a promotion to project manager. In the beginning, everything went well, but in the last month, I've been getting more and more negative feedback. I did not understand what was going on or why people were so negative about me. I was losing clients, and several colleagues were really upset with me. I was at a loss. I started talking to my manager and my department head about following courses, getting monthly feedback to perform better. I just wanted to live up to the promotion I received. I felt like I was failing. Then a friend / female of mine came to me angry and demanded that I apologize for what I said. I was really confused and asked her why she was so upset with me. She explained she received an email where I was basically blaming her for the issues that I was dealing with. This was an email a client forwarded her. I was at a loss and explained I never sent out an email like that, and if she could show me. She did, and it had my name, my send address, and everything seemed like it was from me, but I never sent it. Then it clicked with me. My assistant, 39 female, has access to my email and has the ability to send as me. She's also the only one that has these rights. I was flabbergasted, and so much started to make sense. She was next in line for my job but did not receive the promotion. I did. I checked all her sent mail on her PC while she was out for lunch. I saw dozens of emails sent as if it was me. An email, still open on her screen, showed my email address and a written message to clients with misinformation, passive aggressiveness, and straight up lies. These were sent out under my name. I made screenshots and sent them to myself, then went to my manager and the head of the department. They were pissed. She was fired that same day. I was relieved and all my colleagues were informed. I thought I was completely in the right here, but some people at work are complaining that I violated company policy for snooping on her PC and violating her privacy. My boss and direct colleagues have my back, but the people that knew her, she has worked there since 2011, and I've only been here since 2018, say I went too far. Apparently, she's a single mother with 2 kids and needed this job. I also need this job, and she was more than willing to sacrifice me for her benefit. I don't see how I could be in the wrong for defending myself. Maybe I'm just too close to the situation to see it. Did I go too far by going on her PC? TLDR. Oh wait, no, that's just the recap of it. Honestly, I'm happy it ended up this way. My HR and my boss really had my back here and preemptively handled to avoid any linger and negativity. Nothing but praise for them. I've requested some time off, which was approved, and I'll be home for a week starting next week. Per my request/advice, they are also going to revise or at least look at the company policy regarding access to other people's emails and other security issues I've noticed. It'll probably be the last update for now. I'll post any update if anything happens. Thank you all again. Okay, yeah.
So, no, I'll go first. No, she's not. Like, if I found out that someone was doing that, yeah, no, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way I'm gonna find out that you're sending stuff under my name and not do something about that. That's insane to me. So she's definitely not the asshole, in my opinion. I don't know who wants to go next. Ali?
No, yeah, I mean, I think more importantly, this is making me realize my office is super boring because this is like the Game of Thrones of the office. This is like stabbing and like I've got a secret plan over these years to get back at you.
That's
I mean,
diabolical.
I know it sucks, but it is at least very entertaining, and it would make it a lot better going to work. But I don't know. This is one of the weird things where, like, for sure they're not the asshole for pursuing justice. How could that possibly be a thing? I guess a tiny little complaint I have about it is maybe once you knew about this, it would have maybe just been easier to talk to your supervisors and say just check the mail server because they have the authority to do it. That's the right avenue, maybe that lets them track it as well. I'm still not going to blame somebody for like trying to take it into their own hands. This is a dire situation. You're probably panicking at the time, thinking I'm about to lose everything I worked towards. If you got to go do it on your own and you got to be a cowboy about it or whatever, fine. It does set up a weird precedent where if you think you suspect something, you go into someone's private stuff. So cool. Overall, though, I don't think it. You can't possibly be the asshole if someone's trying to sabotage you, right?
Yeah. Right.
Funny.
Yeah. So actually, this is actually kind of very similar to my current job. Like we have a shared inbox, and I send emails on behalf of like our shared inbox. And so like if I were to send an inbox, it's my name on behalf of the company, for example. So it would say that I'm sending it on behalf of them. So if I were to send out like an passive aggressive email to people, like everyone would know it's me, and I would get in a lot of shit and trouble if they found out. And I'm sure they could trace it back, like, but yeah. Also, there's probably a reason why she didn't get a promotion since 2011.
Yeah.
And who like.
Sad.
Yeah, okay. Single mother of 2. I'm sorry, but like, there's probably a reason why you didn't get a promotion, and like, this is the consequences of your actions for. And she was definitely very petty.
Yeah,
but it's definitely not the amount of time that you work there. It's more like So sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. And like you have kids, you should have thought about that.
Yeah,
that's the gamble, right? Like you're not gambling your future, you're gambling your kids' future.
Yeah.
Maybe they were gambling on the idea that the company wouldn't fire them because they have seniority.
Right.
Oh, possible.
Which is
that,
one thing I'm surprised of is that there was actually action taken, because there's no way this could have been the first time that that's happened. You know what I mean? Like, if you're gonna behave like that rash, like, because that's not subtle. This doesn't sound like someone who's trying it out for the first time to feel ballsy enough to send emails on behalf of someone, multiple, to clients with lies. That's the actions of a seasoned sabotager, and I
feel like she's done this before.
Caught. That's what
I feel like she's done this before, and they kept her only because she stayed for so long. Like she's worked for so long.
Right, or it wasn't enough to catch, or no one could prove it. But one of the things I was gonna say is that why doesn't the OP have access to their email to see the sent emails? You know what I mean? Like, why do I have to sign into a computer to access the emails that are sent on my behalf, whether whether her name is on them or not.
Mhm.
Right? Because if it's my email and you're sending for me, I have my email. I can look at my sent, and see what was sent on my behalf or whatever. So I think that's a little weird in regards to the company. But I also do think like
Unless she copied and pasted the signature block,
Oh,
copied
like
and
you think
pasted
she was doing
their
it from
signature.
her email or like a spam email she had, and she was just like sending it like him as opposed to from
Regards.
him.
Regards this person at.
Right. That's fucked. That's different. Yes, that I can understand. But yeah, I think going into the computer, like, not that wouldn't be my first thought either, but as far as like the legality of it goes, you know what I mean? And like if it were to be any bigger, like you still went into their, into their computer, and that's easy to be like, well, if you enter my computer, who knows how many times you've been in it before? Maybe you sent the emails yourself, and now you've just, if someone wants to be that petty, I mean, I wouldn't put it past this lady, but no, this is a seasoned sabotager. They had it coming to get fired.
I'm laughing because
that's actually a really interesting angle. I never considered that, but that makes total sense. This is not like a freshman year crime. This is a senior or junior year crime. This is somebody who's been doing it.
I would be impressed if it was someone who wanted to do it for the first time, or maybe they were like on edge, and you know what I mean. Like this was the straw that broke the camel's back.
This is their debut. Yeah, like this is their
Right.
first 9 minutes.
Either that, or like, and they just had a bad day, and they were just like, "Fucked, I just lost everything." Right? Like an alcohol, like you go on a what is it called when you drink a lot and you do drugs and shit, and you just make one mistake. Whatever. But I believe that this woman just finally got caught. I think she's done other things
For sure.
like
I think
this,
so too.
and she just finally got caught doing it. Or people never reported her or didn't have the proof the way that this person did, but maybe the company was like, all right, you're a liability now. Like, you need to leave.
I'm laughing because that would make a great Netflix show. Seasoned Saboteur.
Seasoned
That actually is a
Sabotager.
great that's a band name,
Yeah.
too.
I think the previous story that we had would have made a good Netflix show.
Oh yeah.
The drama in the
all of
Oh,
these
yeah.
songs are very dramatic. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we all agree that she's definitely not the asshole for defending herself.
No.
It's crazy to me though that like other coworkers
This
would
is
like
even
thought
there.
that she was an asshole, saying that like, oh, she made
No,
her
but
lose
this
her
is
job.
office
Like,
culture, right? There's always like
Really?
cliques that will defend no matter
Right,
what.
there's always
There's a
cliques.
toxic
office
one,
culture.
Really?
and they've got like a
Mhm.
clique around them that will like defend
Yeah.
every
Because it's like,
action.
why would you then not put yourself in that situation? Like, what if it was you? Would you not?
Well, no, but because they're besties.
Yeah.
You know,
You
work
also have
It will
to
never
besties.
happen to me.
Yeah.
You have to imagine too, a lot of these people, like a lot of the people in their clique, like, okay, so imagine, right?
Mhm.
Like when you have the, like, you allow yourself to do things like this, clearly like there's an imbalance in like the way you handle your emotions. Like you're just a really petty person, you're really sour, whatever.
Mhm.
If you have the ability to do something as like rancid as this, right? Like to get someone fired deliberately, you are the friends that you have, you've manipulated to believe you're right. So I don't think that they know to the extent of what she's done.
Okay.
Or she could have
Yeah.
said that maybe she was being sabotaged, and she could have, people like that are very calculated, and said it in a way that's like that's believable and that can't be confirmed.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You can't prove something, you just have to take my word for it. And
Mhm.
we've been friends, so how can you not?
Right. Okay.
Not
Yeah.
justifying
already
it. It
helps
just
with that.
doesn't
Because I'm
surprise
not, I'm not
me,
familiar
though.
too much. Aside from my internship, I haven't really been around office culture much, so I'm not
Oh my god.
really familiar.
I'm
What
I
about-
feel
I'm
like it's
literally
people
working an
culture.
office job.
I heard
Oh,
it's like
okay.
high school.
Really.
Like
It is
literally,
for
I
sure.
heard.
Really,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I mean,
That
retail
sounds
is obviously significantly still worse, but
Right.
it's such a close thing because it's we're more of a weird psychological battle in an office.
Mhm.
It is for sure just back in high school, except a lot worse because everybody should know better.
I feel
Right.
like, yeah, because with offices, it's very much microaggressions everywhere.
Yeah.
You notice the small
Right.
little things, and
Best
because everyone's
regards.
adult. Passive aggressive
Like,
emails.
the
Right.
most
Per
story
my
I've
last
heard.
email.
Ask her, yeah,
You could read.
sincerely.
I've heard about like just people stealing food out the break room from like people that brought their lunch or something.
Bruh.
Oh no, we'd have to fight.
No.
Well,
my
only thing I've
gosh.
stole was utensils because I needed forks. They don't have.
No.
I don't have any
I-
forks.
They're not gonna eat their
One
spaghetti
of them
today.
is among us right now.
Right.
One of these office thieves.
Report, hit the
okay,
report
One of the
buddy.
button.
people you're sitting and breaking bread with, isn't it?
Emergency meeting.
I needed a plastic
No.
fork.
Yeah. Okay.
How else am I gonna eat my
Somebody said-
lunch?
Somebody else said, I don't think I could trust anyone else's food.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah, I
like
know.
how do I know that what I think is your lunch from today wasn't sitting there for a month?
Yeah,
I would
People
never
at my
leave it in the
job do that.
fridge. I
They do
I
that.
cannot trust.
I heard
It
someone
stays
got
in the
tired
brown
of them
bag and
eating their
everything.
lunch, so they'd put a used condom in their sandwich.
That's fucked.
Like,
That's so
yeah.
rude. You're so bored. Like people that why
Mm.
play
I
video
wouldn't eat
games? Why
anyone
are you
else's
bored?
lunches.
Mm,
Right.
That's a little much.
yeah.
That's
All
so
right.
rude.
So I'm gonna post the
Anyways.
third story. I don't know, Tiff, did you want to read it, or Ali, did you want to read it? I
Oh,
don't know.
it's a short
Yeah,
one.
Lee, you read it.
Oh, I don't read at all. I mean, I program and that's about it. I've lost my reading
That
capability
requires
after high
some
school.
reading.
Suddenly.
Don't put me on the spot like this. Don't humiliate me in front of the
Well,
crowd.
you're the guest, so you don't have to read.
Spare me.
Tiff, would you
Yeah.
like to read it then?
Okay, I can read it if Ali, if you don't want to read
It's
it.
the third
Okay.
stuff idea.
I got it up. I'm
You
ready.
saved me.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
Am I the asshole for not telling my wife that I lost my job? Oh, sorry, it's the red asshole for me.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't
I
sound
didn't.
like that at
I
all,
know.
please.
I didn't tell her because I didn't want her to worry, since I'm the only source of income. I just left every morning like I was going to work. Now that I found work in my field, I told her, and she wasn't happy and claims she had a right to know and that I should have told her. But I think I'm doing so would've just brought her stress that I could take. Oh, I said that so fucking wrong. I'm doing so would've. But I think doing so would've brought her stress that I can't take. Sure, she had a right to know, but it's all well that ends well. I wasn't fired, just one of many engineers who got laid off. The first sentence is everything that anyone needs.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I didn't tell her because I didn't want her to worry, since I'm the only source of income. Hello?
Mhm.
What if you didn't find a job on time? Like maybe you had a
Yeah.
little savings, fine.
Mhm.
But like that's so scary to experience as a partner too, because that changes the whole dynamic, because now it's like, oh, if you don't have a job, then I need to do something to make sure that we're okay. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he needs to learn punctuation though,
Yeah.
because I struggled with that
He
last
definitely
sentence.
should.
That really got me in a. But
I
that's
dodged
pretty much
a
it.
landmine that you for sure took from me for your bravery.
Mhm.
No, because I don't even know how I got through it.
mm. I'm
But
gonna
yeah,
play
that's pretty
devil's
much.
advocate a bit. I can
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of understand
Yeah, don't do it.
in a sense. Look,
Oh.
don't clip it. Don't put it on Twitter. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Like
Cancel him.
there's two sides of it, right? Like he's an asshole. I'm gonna say that in general. I can understand his reasoning in the sense of like he didn't want to worry her because again I'm not sure if they have kids or whatnot, but he's the only source of income, and the fact that I guess maybe I'm assuming maybe it's like within a week's time, and then he got another job. So he felt like, well, if I got I got my
been longer
job,
than that.
new job. Oh, is it?
Well, I don't know how.
Well,
what
yeah.
the time
I'm
period was.
gonna assume maybe it wasn't that too long since he found he found a new job. So I'm assuming he felt like, well, since they're it's like maybe let's say for example, just given the benefit of the doubt, a week. He was like, well, there's no reason to tell her because it's gonna worry her and stress her out for nothing. I can see why he did it. I don't agree with him doing it, but I don't think he should be that much of an asshole. I don't know.
I don't know. I agree with you, G.
Mhm.
Yeah. I can't say like I also can't play devil's advocate, but like I can see I can see myself doing something like that because of the embarrassment that comes with it.
Mhm.
And that might be something that like someone not everybody can recognize and admit, right? Some people will be like, "Oh, well, I don't have to tell her," and they've convinced themselves that they have a good enough reason not to say anything, when in reality it's maybe because they're embarrassed. You know what I mean? But they're over here like, "Well, I don't have to explain everything. I'll get a job. It's fine." You know, like that whole deflecting.
Yeah.
So I guess I can see kind of I mean I know that if I don't say anything, it's because I'm embarrassed and I actually have to face that
Yeah.
myself and then face that while I'm telling my partner. And I would also convince myself that if I got a job fast enough, that then I would be able to tell them, so it would be easier. So I can see that, but it's not right. It needs to be said
Also,
like immediately, I think.
I'm just gonna again probably insert something that's not there, and again because we're just going off of the information available, right? Like I know in some marriages that like the in-laws are a big thing in terms of like one partner will tell their in-laws their family everything that does not need to absolutely be shared. So like him losing his job, maybe he didn't want his wife to share that with her folks, so that he gets calls about it. Oh, I heard you lost your job, blah blah blah. How are you going to support my daughter? XYZ. You know what I mean? So that could be a reason. I mean, obviously that's not there in context, but I feel like maybe that's another reason why you wouldn't share you lost your job, just because you're afraid, not afraid, but like you just don't want to deal with the stress that comes with
Repercussions.
dealing with other people and learning about
In-laws.
that, because your partner probably can't keep, that stuff to themselves. But yeah, that's just my opinion.
No,
Yeah.
very good.
But so yeah, I don't know if anyone else wanted to comment on it or not.
No, I mean, I agree that he's the asshole. The extenuating circumstances, I can see them. I feel like it's hard to put it in a positive light for me because it's a poison to your relationship, right? It's the kind of love, or it's the kind of like care that is supposed to make the other person feel indebted to you for your like heroism or whatever, but it's an indignity to them. It's a weird thing where you're saying, I feel like I have access, or I have the right to deny you knowledge about our lives. It's not your knowledge to really safeguard. They can't really do that to you either. It's a commentary about the state of your relationship. And if either it's a choice that you're making that puts this limitation on it, or it's just already limited in this way, and this is kind of like a symptom of that, you got to address those underlying things. But you can't ever say like, because I'm such a hero that I want to spare them concern. They're not a child. They're not a child. They're the same. You're a meat bag. They're a meat bag.
Right.
The gender plays nothing into it. You're just
Right.
a bag of bones, and like, if you can take it, so can they. But it's worse to say. I think that's probably why this person was mad. Not necessarily because you lost your job, but because you have demonstrated to me that you can keep things like this from me, that you
Right.
would deny me
You're
the
capable.
knowledge of
Right.
my future and your future, or that you wouldn't trust me with it, right? It's a weird
Yeah.
insult almost to say, don't
Yeah.
spare me, don't safeguard me in a way that denies me the ability to gain trust, that it might denies me the ability to be close to you. We're supposed to be a sanctuary
Right.
for each other,
Right.
not a weird position to maintain.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's true too.
Oh,
I didn't look at
very,
it that way.
very.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
also, I
yeah.
think the fact that he's the only source of income,
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like definitely plays, like, it's important for her to know, because maybe if they were both working, maybe wouldn't be as bad. But since he's the only source of income, yeah, he should have been honest. And especially when you're going into like relationships, all about built on trust, and being honest with each other. But I do understand the whole like guilt, like, or like embarrassment, especially with, at least with Asian families. I don't know if this person's Asian, but I don't know if you guys watch. Maybe Tiff, you watched it. But What Did Jennifer Do? The documentary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I
So
just watched
this
it like the other
is-
day.
Yeah. So basically, the girl, Jennifer, she faked going to university,
Like
telling her
years.
for 4 years, because her parents thought she was studying at university, so she was going out to downtown Toronto every day. But she lied. She forged her documents, her university
Yes.
certificate,
Wow.
or her transcripts,
Diploma.
everything.
What?
So, but this was for 4 years. I don't think it's to
That's
this extent,
incredible.
but like,
no.
All that
But-
effort she put into doing that, she could
She could have gone.
I mean, give this
yeah.
person an honorary degree.
Right,
I feel like
yeah.
that's fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying
Hire
you
her
deceive your
on.
parents, but you deceived Asian parents for 4 years and then forged all these
Yeah.
plausible
Doesn't
documents.
end very
Yeah.
well though. It does not end.
That's
no,
very
it doesn't
well.
end
crazy.
well. You guys will have to watch the
4
documentary.
Yeah.
years? That's her whole degree. What do you?
She's earned it, as far as
Yeah,
I'm concerned.
yeah, she's earned it. Well, just by curiosity,
At
what was
that
she?
point.
What was she initially going to school for?
It was for biopharmaceutical science, I think.
Oh,
Right.
Biofarm?
'Cause she said she was too queasy to be a surgeon.
that was the
something
reason.
Like that. Biofarm. It was
Yeah,
pharmacy something.
Oh.
But
Yeah,
she
it was
just didn't want to tell her
pharmacy.
parents, because especially with Asian parents, it's like, if you
Right.
don't study to be a doctor, lawyer, whatever, it's shame to not go to university or something.
Mm.
And she
Right.
didn't have good enough marks to get in. She didn't make it in, so that's why she just
Oh,
pretended.
that's what it was. Oh.
I think she didn't have good marks or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also, like, Toronto's very competitive for university.
is.
Like, it's yeah.
Really?
But yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of crazy. But that's why it reminded me. The story reminded me of that movie. You guys have to
The
watch
Double
it.
Life.
The Double Life. Yeah, but
I'm
that's
just-
for 4
I'm
years.
just
This is
curious,
probably
like,
maybe for a couple months
probably have
or
to
maybe a
watch it.
week.
Yeah,
or
I feel like if paychecks are missing for 4 years and the sole income earner,
Yeah.
somebody's
something.
gonna.
Then something's fishy.
Also, she was keeping the money, wasn't she? Because her parents had to give her tuition.
Yeah, I
There was
think
something like that. She must have faked us the invoice.
I mean, it's
yeah,
not cheap to forge all these documents,
Yeah.
obviously.
because in
Yeah.
Canada, at least in Ontario, you get money for going to school for tuition. You just apply for it, and then the government will give you money.
Right, like a
Mhm.
grant, yeah.
Yeah, like a grant or loan. So
Oh,
she probably used that money.
Oh, so okay, so what you think is like she
I
was
think.
still actively enrolled, but she just wasn't
Or
showing
she
up to
pretended that
class.
she was enrolled. Yeah, she wasn't.
Yeah,
No.
because in order to get
How'd
that
she
money,
get
you
the
need to be
FAFSA or
showing
whatever?
you're going
You have
to
to.
school. Oh,
You
I'm
have to
sorry.
also.
It's Canada. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
this is Canada,
Mhm.
but you also have to tell, like, you show them your parents' income tax, how much they pay in taxes, and blah blah
Right.
blah. And if they don't make a certain amount, they'll give you more money.
Mhm.
Right.
If
Yeah.
they. So that's
Oh,
how.
that's weird because we definitely have the same system here,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's done through like the school. You can apply
Oh.
separately, but it's easier to apply through the school. It's just that
Yeah.
I'm surprised
Okay.
that Toronto doesn't like tie it, or Canada in general maybe doesn't tie it to the school itself, and have like the school's ID at every stage, check-ins with the
It's
school. I
it
used to actually
goes
work at the
by
post office
province
for
for us.
Oakland, and like, wait, what? Sorry.
It goes by
Province?
province for us.
Oh,
So
so it's province
Ontario
specific.
has the education is based on each province. So I'm in
Oh.
Ontario, so
Oh,
this is
okay.
just for
I'm in
just for Ontario.
Ontario. That was
Hey.
cute.
I'm
Hey.
yeah, I'm an Ontario gal.
The O.
The O
Okay.
or than the O. Yeah,
Um,
it's different in the States, I guess.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's
It
it
sucks
for
here.
the Am I the Asshole stories.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
we all
In general,
agree.
yes, all the time.
Yeah.
All
I
the
heard it's
time,
more
every day,
expensive. It's really
nonstop.
expensive
Mhm.
tuition over there.
Oh yes, it is. It is horrifyingly expensive.
Mhm.
Horrifyingly.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
33. I can't remember my own age now. 33, and I have not paid off my student loans. I'm
Oh,
on the maybe this year, if I'm lucky next year.
Mhm.
That's about it.
Mhm.
fingers
But
crossed.
Yeah.
yes,
Well, I hope you get
I'm not
that
the only
done.
one. That's just how everybody is
Mhm.
now. What a wonderful time
That's
to be
Oh
crazy.
alive.
yeah.
Oh,
Education
yeah.
is a
Oh my
sacrifice for
God.
sure. All right. So I guess we're gonna jump in, Ali, to making you the main dish. So
Oh my.
Yeah, cook for us.
yeah, cook for us.
Please.
So I just would
This is too
like you
much pressure
to.
now. I regret signing up for this.
Dinner is served. Okay. So I just want you first to just tell us a little bit about your job, what you do, and then I'm gonna get into the questions.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a senior software engineer, mostly working in digital marketing. Kind of done a little bit of everything, but settled up in digital marketing because that's most of what's available in Chicago, to be honest with you. And then it didn't start as a preferred specialization, but that's what it grew into. I've kind of been all over. I've done mobile development, front end, back end. Mostly, I'm predominantly back end now. But it's been, I don't know, an interesting journey. I haven't I can't say that I'm an expert of all, engineering, of all programming. There's just too much variety, but I think I've gotten enough of a taste to be a bit of a jack of all trades,
Mm-hmm.
and at least have a general opinion about almost everything.
Okay. So initially, is that is that what you were going to school for, or did your path start somewhere else?
Oh no, my path started in the gutter, EJ, as you know.
Yeah, just wanted to get into it.
I mean, you remember senior high school?
Mm.
I was barely in any classes. We used to ditch constantly.
Yes.
I had a very squeaky voice,
Mm.
and my voice got just deep enough that I could fake being my dad and call in.
Mm.
And so I took advantage of that every day. I called in all the time that my son can't make it in, and me and EJ went to Evanston downtown, and we would go get free ice cream scoop days and everything of the like. I mean, I was pretty much aimless. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't really think I could feasibly get any real degree. It's the problem that a lot of minority kids have of, like, you see these lofty ideas of college and university, whatever, and these higher degrees, and you assume that's for rich white people. Unless you're already from a family that's kind of well established, or at least well enough established that they could get the money together for you to go to school. In my case, it was 7-person family living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I just assumed that even if I did well enough to get in, who's going to pay for that? So I instead tried to have fun, which is very stupid. It's what young people do, right? They kind of cut off their nose to spite their face. And I had no designs in the future until I met my fiance, who I don't want to give credit, all the credit to her, because I would like to think some part of it was me, but
Right.
for sure she made me into a respectable man. She for sure saw potential in me. I still kept, flip-flopping everywhere. I tried to be a paralegal. I tried to be a pharmacy tech. I tried to do a bit of everything. And then eventually she just asked me, what do you want to do? Like, you keep trying to find things
What do
that
you
maybe
want? Right.
exactly that, which you don't get asked a lot as a minority kid. You kind of get told these are the viable situations.
This is what you need to do to survive.
They tell you,
Yeah, and then
what to choose.
yeah. And then so she asked me if you couldn't fail, right? Which is, I know, a very HR question, a very job interview question. If you
Sure.
couldn't fail, what would you do?
Mhm.
And I said, I don't know. I've messed with computers a lot. I used to, put together garbage PCs out of whatever spare parts I could find. I used to be playing Halo on like a discontinued Rage card where it was black and white, which is very poverty and very sad, but it was a wonderful advantage because I could see people that were hiding because the game breaks. You can just see everything in black
Oh,
and white. You can see
shit.
people with stealth all the time.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I decided, you know what? I honestly, that's the only thing that I ever did I liked, messing with computers.
You enjoyed.
Mhm.
But I for sure can't do that because I can't do the math. I'm horrible at math.
Right.
But despite having these doubts, she just really put it down for me. She for sure helped me get through school. She is mathematically gifted, so she helped tutor me through all these math classes, which I repeatedly failed, to be candid. I failed
Oh
calculus
my
2 like
gosh.
twice. And anybody else would have given up at that point, for fair reason. I was, I think, 8 years out of school when I finally graduated. For 8 years out of high school, that is when I finally graduated.
Wow.
But I did only because of that support. And then I've since then just been a programmer. It was a roundabout journey, but I've enjoyed it immensely. It's the only career that felt like something I would do even if they wouldn't pay me for it. And it's made me discover parts of myself that I for sure would not have said are part of me intrinsically. Like, I would not have ever said I was an ambitious person. I would not have ever said that I like to excel in any job, to get better and better, to get promoted up. But I found that part of me in this job. I found that part of me in this profession in general. A care for the craftsmanship of it and the improvement of it for its own sake. And I attribute that at least partly to me, but mostly to my fiance.
Okay. I mean,
Aw, you need give yourself more
Yeah.
credit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Even though
sure.
I'm sure you feel good doing that. But sorry.
Don't
G,
don't let him fool
please.
you. He's a genius. But
I believe it.
he is. You can just by the way he talks. I know you guys. Yeah. But yeah.
And you have all been very easily fooled by this scheme.
Oh, yes, it's
Yeah.
working.
It's a thin veneer on a layer of
Wait
carbon.
for it.
I mean, you kind of a little bit covered it, but I'm just gonna ask you directly. Can you tell me what your path looked like getting to your position?
I mean, yeah, the
Your
path was very
journey.
roundabout. Yeah, the riddled with student aid and loans that are still needing to be repaid.
Mhm.
Bars.
A lot of classes and a lot of courses that for sure did not go towards my major. A lot of redos of calculus too. But it was this long path of trying to get the finances together, right? Because it sometimes a lot of people think like, okay, you know what, we're a country that has FAFSA, that is a resource for everybody, that the grants alone will get you there, and if not, some marginal student loans will get you there, so private loans.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is you also don't control the university you get into.
Mhm.
And you could say that
Right.
is for sure partially the responsibility of the student, do good in high school,
Sure.
wherever.
Mhm.
But a lot of times when you're young and you're struggling with the same thing a lot of minority families struggle with, it's not a
Sure.
unique struggle to me. It's hard to convince yourself as a child that these things matter, that you should have gotten a perfect high school,
Right.
record, ready to get into any school you want to get into.
Right.
Unfortunately, I got into a university, and it was confusingly the only university I got into that was 3 to 4 times more expensive than UIC, for example, which is an economical good university. I tried to get into UIC. It would have been lovely if I got into UIC. But I instead got into Loyola, which charges an arm and a leg, about 45K per
Like
year.
$500,000. I'm just kidding. I was
I'm
just throwing a number out there.
near enough, right?
Sorry.
If the number
Half a
gets to a certain
mil.
amount, it may as well be.
Sense.
Yeah.
So of course, student loans don't bridge that gap. The government loans don't bridge that gap. FAFSA doesn't bridge that gap. And getting private loans is not so easy if you don't have a family that has credit history that even really
Right.
manages
Right.
credit. So there was a lot of trying to find anybody that would co-sign on my loans,
Yeah.
patching it together year by year. I can actually disclose, because now I've paid it off. I didn't pay for my last year. I got my degree, rather my last semester, not my last year. My last semester, I knew I was out of money and I was not going to get any more.
Right.
And I was not going to be able to find anybody to co-sign on my
Right.
loans. My parents for sure were rejecting me.
Right.
So I just decided, what's the worst that can happen if I don't pay? Like, they won't kick me out of the classes immediately. They'll just put me on probation afterwards and say you have an overdue balance.
Who's gonna stop
I'll still
me?
have a degree.
And you
And so
got
I
your
did.
degree?
Mhm.
Yeah, you can't get it mailed to you, obviously. They
You
still have
can't
the
get it
probation, which
mailed.
sucks. Yeah, but you still technically have the degree. You have
I've
graduated.
gotten mine mailed to me before.
I haven't gotten it to me because of the payment. When you
Well,
owe
that's
money,
exactly
or
what I was gonna say.
Oh.
If you owe money, you're not gonna. They don't send it.
yeah,
Or
they don't send it out. You don't get it mailed to you. because you owe them money
I
still. You're on
apologize.
probation.
Now I understand.
No,
Okay.
yeah. So I can't get the physical degree. I mean, now I
Right.
can, but at the time I couldn't. So my entire thing was banking on the fact that the transcripts I had already were enough and that nobody would ask to actually see the degree because I technically had it. They could contact
Yeah.
Loyola and I would count as graduated. But
Right.
every employer where I applied, I was just holding my breath that they do not ask me for the actual paper because I do not have the
Yeah.
paper.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
But
And
that's
they
the end
don't.
of it. That was the end journey of. I had to kind of scam my way through the last semester and then get the degree
Right.
afterwards.
And they didn't ask, right? Or I couldn't imagine like that they were asking for your employers, the people you were applying for.
No, surprisingly, that's the thing you hear, right? That you're gonna have to present this. But
Right. I know,
nobody ever
because
asked.
I can lie. Because now you're giving me ideas.
You
Because
might
I
as
don't have
well,
my
to be
degree
honest.
yet, but like I got my degree.
I mean, you know what?
Like
It's believable
physically.
because, like, again,
There has yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
But
I'm
I'm going to finish my degree for social work, but I didn't have it. That being said, when I was in the social work field and I was doing my internship, I had a government job lined up and they were willing to hire me. And they just said just sign on now and then when you finish your degree just present it. But I didn't do that for personal reasons, obviously. But yeah, so I can understand how like they wouldn't ask. Like that's feasible. I can see how they
Right.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
They don't really, as long as you could do the work, it
I mean, you
seems
think
like.
they're going to. Everybody
Yeah.
says they're going to. Everyone's gonna say like you have
I've
to have
never
this degree,
heard of
but
that.
no one ever asked it. So
I've never even thought about how you would even prove that. It's
Yeah.
literally just word of mouth. Well, honestly though, not for nothing, let's be for real. If you're lying about having a degree, they're gonna tell the second they hire you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Especially if you're
I
applying
mean,
within a like
They ask for proof.
what?
They ask
Sorry,
for
what?
they ask for proof usually, no?
No.
Not. I mean,
Well, it's
honestly,
America
I thought
because
they would. I
America
thought they
versus
would.
Canada,
I would have
right?
to. You have to submit your like citizenship. You have to submit your
Yes,
ID.
bitch, that's what I'm
But they
saying.
didn't ask for this.
My job
I
asked
thought
for
they would.
proof. Like I
Really?
sent them
This is
everything.
it.
Yeah. I sent them my degree, my
That's
everything.
crazy.
For sure, some
I
employers
mean, it's
do.
not
I just
crazy,
didn't
but
think it was. I thought it was more widespread. I thought
right,
every
right.
profession is legally required and they
Right,
must keep it on file, like they do for
right.
your ID and stuff. But it just turns out like it's preference. Some places ask, some places don't. I got lucky. The places I
Interesting.
applied, thankfully, did not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
that's insane.
So as of right now, you are a graduate. Tech for real,
Yeah,
for real.
I mean,
Okay.
even from that year, I was graduated. I had the
Like you
honors
had
bestowed.
finished everything.
Not just finished. I was given like on your academic transcript, I was given the honors on through whoever wrote a student portal. The graduation was listed by my date and my name. I
Understood.
just could not
Mhm.
I could not request records because they would say you need to pay this off before we release it to you.
Right. Correct.
Mm.
Okay, understood.
Okay.
They don't ever delay your.
Okay.
I mean, there's a separate graduation fee you do have to pay,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
but as long as you pay that fee, they don't stop you from graduating. They don't delay you and say we'll bestow these honors next year or when you pay,
Right.
purely because they can't actually do that. The whole point is that your credits begin to expire,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not indefinite. In fact, this is what usually happens to a lot of people who take like associate's degrees and transfer into bachelor's. Your credits have a lifetime, and then you can either
They
take a CLEP test
do.
afterwards. Yeah, they for sure lose. I think it's like 5 years or something.
Oh
But we would
shit.
see I used to work in the enrollment center in Oakton Community College, and we would see older students come in all the time saying, well, I already have a lot of these
Right.
prerequisites. You still got to retake them. That was like 5, 10
Holy
years ago.
fuck.
Mhm.
Sorry, I
You
don't mean to curse
can
so much.
No, that's fine.
crazy.
No
I
problem.
didn't
Oh
know
no,
all
it's
that.
okay.
Mhm.
We
You
do it all
can't
the
skip
time.
out of it though. You can do like a CLEP test that proves you have proficiency in a subject.
Right.
It's limited subjects. It's not
Like
every
a
subject.
pretest.
Yeah, and that can at least give you the equivalent
The
credit
jump.
to renew it, but it's not a thing where like your credits
Wow.
are indefinite. They're not
I
indefinite.
didn't know
So they
that.
can't stop your graduation because then you could easily say, well, it's been X amount of time. You have
Right.
now, are you requiring me to do my whole 4 years again? That's not
Right,
feasible.
because you're
So
paying
I
for
think
that.
that's why they just let you go and like you're
Mhm.
graduated. You just can't get the documents though.
Right. I guess that's a fair trade-off.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I
insane.
suppose.
I learned something new.
That's interesting. I had no idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel
Wow.
bad scamming institutions because universities
Oh
suck.
no, no.
Universities
No, the institutions they
Not at
scam
all.
They
us.
scammed me for
They're the
4
biggest
years. That's cool.
scam.
Mhm.
I was more than happy to delay paying
Yeah.
them for the last year.
So this,
They get plenty of money.
yeah. This question wasn't technically. It's not related to this topic, but we talked about this multiple times. I think about like how the world has changed in terms of like career paths and how like there's a lot of different career paths now. So basically, the pipeline to like school to work to life in terms of like you go to school, you go to college, you get a degree, you start a family, blah blah blah, whatever. Do you feel now, seeing how the future is now, versus back to like maybe when you were in high school? Do you feel like your path would have been different?
Oh
Like, so
yeah,
for example, like
absolutely.
just to give an example, streaming, like we're streaming now. Streaming is a viable career. When in the 90s or the 2000, early 2000s for us, that wouldn't have been viable, right? That we would have looked at that
No.
and been like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? That's, there's
Yeah.
no way. But yeah, would knowing like what you know now about the future and like different career paths, do you feel like you would have changed what you did or what you went to school for?
I may not have changed the end goal
Hmm.
because this is still the job that I've loved the most. I for sure would have taken an entirely different path
Sooner.
to it.
Hmm.
I would have, sorry, what?
I'm sorry. I imagine that maybe you would have taken the opportunity sooner, right?
Well, not
Like you
just
would have had the
necessarily
same
sooner,
result, but like you may have, known more confidently or felt more confidently going towards a degree
not all
like
the
this
meandering
one.
that I did for years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not just that, but I would genuinely have skipped university. I would have.
Ah.
This is a thing that I kind of learned by being in the profession, that this is one of
Mhm.
the few professions. I mean, more professions are trying to take the same mentality, but it's one
Mhm.
of the first to sort of widespread not take degrees as seriously.
Mm.
I mean, as an engineer, you can get hired with some maybe some minor difficulty, but not nearly. It's not a wall
Mm.
with no degree, with even not even maybe a coding boot camp, although they sometimes help. As long as you have a robust portfolio of projects that show that not only have you been investigating this on your own, but you've been teaching yourself advanced
Right.
concepts. That's what matters, because genuinely anybody can be doing this.
Yeah.
It The barrier is the languages. The barrier is that it seems intimidating until you get past that first part, and then you realize genuinely this is
This is
not
easy.
a super academic career. This is
Yeah.
something anybody could really do.
Feasible.
Yeah, and then do the concepts taught to you in class matter? To a degree, yeah. But I went to a university that was supposed to be famous and supposed to be expensive, and I found that most of the learning I did on my own. The
Mhm.
majority of learning I did on my own. And that's
Mhm.
not my story. That's the story of the majority of programmers. And it's often the response to this is, oh, but they prompted you to do that learning. Oh, they guided you to do that learning.
Right.
And is there some small truth in that? Sure. But it still stands to reason that the majority of the things I learned on my own. And if I had known this career was possible, I would have been able to find those learning goals myself. They're
Mhm.
not exclusive and not like obscure learning goals to
Right.
learn. The barrier is just that you don't feel like you could learn them. That's what I would go back and tell
Right.
myself, is that don't bother.
You
Don't
can.
bother with this debt. Don't bother with this time.
Right.
You can spend the same time and get actually further ahead, way further ahead, learning modern things, not the somewhat stagnant curriculums that these universities always
Right.
tend to have. But if we're talking about beyond that, like, the path past getting the degree and all this job stuff,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean, obviously that would also be different because I see a lot of people within, my age group trying to pursue the whole get a house, do the,
Mhm.
exact plan that our parents did. Obviously, that's not only cost prohibitive at this time. I mean, I'm not able to do that at all, no matter
Mhm.
how well I manage my finances. But it's also a matter of equity was being gained at the time, right? There was something to say about this as an investment that will matter. That is not so much the case anymore. Will you gain equity in a home? Yes. But with private equity firms grabbing up property, it's too much of a fluctuation to say it's anything more than really a gamble. So
Yep.
this idea of the path is get a degree, put all your money towards a home, and then you are set for life. We've seen that crash so many times in our time, and that it's not even like it's a high percentage safe bet to make. It's just as much of a gamble as the casino, is just as much as a gamble as the stock market. I don't know if I would have very early told myself, or as far back as I can,
Mhm.
abandon that thought. Don't put any money towards it. Don't put any
Mhm.
time towards it. Don't put any part of your self-worth towards it. Focus your energy elsewhere.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That was very good. Yeah,
Um,
you worded that very well.
yeah.
Articulated yourself very well. I think you hit
It
the
is
nail.
very charitable.
Mhm.
Ding.
So
Nail on the head.
to kind of relate it back to the topic of job security. Well, this is a different question again from the one I'm asking you. So you went to Lavoya, Loyola University, and that is prestigious school. It's a notable name school. Do you feel like, in terms of based off your career, obviously, because this is like subjective, do you feel like the name helps ensure your job security?
I
Like if
would
you
say
apply to
honestly not
people,
so
do you
much.
like apply to? I guess like, a better question would be, when you apply to jobs, because I feel like, at least if I, again, because I'm not too knowledgeable about like the big name schools, Yale, Harvard, whatever. Do you feel like the name secures you a position, because I feel like people pay so much for these tuitions for these jobs, and like, oh, I went to Harvard, but like a lot of these jobs I don't think care. Like, if I'm being honest, like I don't really think they care if you went to Harvard, as long as you can do the work. But
Yeah, I
do
mean,
you how do you feel about that? Do you feel like having the name of Loyola secures you a job, or
I
that you just
think
paid for the prestige? Or...
it's a matter of what industry you're in, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think in engineering, not so much. For sure, it matters a little bit for your first job, right?
Mm-hmm.
But past the first job, no one's looking. No one's looking at that part of the resume. Whenever I go through interviews myself and I'm looking at a person's resume trying to understand who they are,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine ever looking at that part and giving a shit. Nobody I've interviewed with as a co-host or co-interviewer has ever looked at that part. We don't discuss it in the
Yeah.
after brief either. It's never a part of the conversation. I can understand that people don't want to take risks on new employees that are freshly graduated, so
Right.
they may try to use that as a way of hedging their bets to say this is a safe hire.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, because of the way software works, there are plenty of great places to work. There are plenty of software sweatshops. And as a person who's coming into it new, you could take the risk, which is not a significantly substantial risk, but it's better than going to university anyway, of just getting hired at a crappy place.
Mm-hmm.
If that's your first job, they will put you through the ringer. That's partially what I did. I worked in a really crappy sweatshop that required me to learn more than I should have had to be required to learn, asked me to do multiple jobs. But the advantage of that is it's a crucible. You gain enough from that no
Yeah.
other interview starts to matter in the future. No one ever asks about your degree. No one ever wonders if you're qualified, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because you've learned the vocabulary at the very least. Even if you haven't deeply learned every concept,
Mm-hmm.
you've learned the vocabulary to express deep understanding of advanced topics, and that's what they're really looking for. They have no idea if you can do the job or not. In
Right.
reality, if the secret is
You
everybody
sound
you interview
convincing.
for, yeah, you just have to be and
Yeah.
they're terrified. Honestly, they're terrified. The people you're interviewing with are just as scared as you are, because they do not know how to find a good candidate for this job.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they talk about all the time. It's what they pay millions of dollars to do, because they hire people who are so good at interviewing, so good,
Right.
cannot do a day
Right.
of the job. A day of the job.
Right.
They have passed every other test. I mean, programming interviews
Literally.
are insane. You have to do
There's
5 to
no
7.
yeah.
And you would imagine that 5 to 7, an hour each minimum, right? Whiteboarding, going and doing pairing exercises. You would imagine I have the proof. I have the proof that this person can do this job. And
Right.
then you hire them, and then the first week, they have no clue. And what are you supposed to do at this point? Your team genuinely needs this
Yeah.
person to get the weight off of themselves. They're usually under a lot of heavy deadlines. Are you going to teach this person from scratch how to do it? Realistically, that's what a good team would do. They would say
Right.
anybody can do this job. This person is teachable. But the problem is, this happens so often that companies don't know how to distinguish between a good candidate or not. It's all made up. Every single
Right.
job is all made up. So
Right.
the I'm sorry about this long tangent, but all I mean to say is
No, it's
there's
okay.
no real way to prepare for this. There's no real way to say, like, would they look at my degree? Would they not look at my degree? It's a rando guy every time. It's a rando person with
Yeah.
rando perceptions and their own junk in their head. No rule will ever work. I personally would have skipped it if I went back. I would have just come with a
Yeah.
resume, portfolio. But that's just me. I again, that's also this industry. That's not a matter
Yeah.
of like, in finance, could I do it? No. There are for
Right.
sure doors that Harvard opens, because it's a very almost incestuous pool. It is
Yeah.
very much that these people want the guarantee that you went to the school I went to, or the school that I
Right.
went. Not
Kind of
because of the
nepotistic, kind of. Would you say?
sorry, what?
Kind of nepotistic.
Oh, it's like an incestuous pool.
Oh, okay.
It's that they want to keep it within this
Oh,
larger
okay, get
family.
you.
These
Mhm.
schools
Yeah.
don't guarantee you that you learned what you need to learn.
Mhm.
What they've guaranteed is that you have experienced the same social things we have,
Ah,
right?
okay.
That's the guarantee
Right.
they're seeing in this paper. Does that open doors to say, ah, you're a Dartmouth man, ah, you're a Harvard person?
Right.
Absolutely
Right.
does.
Right.
They want someone they trust is in that pedigree, is in
Mm.
that prestige.
Mhm.
So for sure, those schools will open doors for you in very specific industries, not
Mm.
because
Yeah.
of
Okay.
what they teach you, because of what
But
they are.
because it's the
Mhm.
badge, yeah. I was gonna say, it's giving pretty privilege. Like that's the only that's the quickest analogy I can do. When I say pretty privilege too, I also mean that beyond like being a girl and being pretty, but like, not everything that shines is gold. And like you can have
Yeah.
people who seem promising, or you can have someone who has the highest, the best, I don't know, we've all seen those like what is the saying? It's like there's a poor child somewhere who doesn't have the access to college or education that could make the cure for cancer, right? Like that's, they say things like that.
Mhm.
But it's like everyone's capable. There's no guidelines that anyone can go by to determine whether or not someone is fit for a job until they actually start to do it.
Mhm.
Which is why I feel like some jobs also have like probationary periods where or they'll have training for like 1 or 2 days or paid training, and then after that is when you're officially hired or whatever. But I was gonna say also, I will add on to Ali. I think, or to answer your question, G,
Mhm.
it won't secure a job, or maybe the verbiage you meant it differently, but will it get you a job? Probably,
Mhm.
because if you have Harvard on your resume, they're like, oh shit. But will it give you job security? Will they keep you because of that? That's determined by you as an individual,
Mhm.
in hopes that they're not just a shitty company and you try really hard and they're just like, fuck you.
Mhm.
But like, I think it can encourage, open the doors and get people to actually feel encouraged to meet with you. I don't know. It's like, oh, this local community college or this really expensive college. Like literally the only thing this expensive college is doing is telling you I'm in debt or I have a lot of money.
Mhm.
And that truly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you didn't go to that school. How do you know how good the curriculum is?
Mhm.
How do you know that it's actually teaching their students, or their students have like high success rates after graduating, things like that, whatever. But anyways, I just wanted to say, like, I think it can give you the gateway, but it won't give you that security,
Yeah.
like a lot of people would think
Exactly.
like comes with seniority, right? They're like, oh, I've been here for 10 years, they can't fire me. Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
And they can
They
fire
would
Like
you.
that
fire their own
lady.
mother. They will fire anybody.
They'll fire the single mother of two.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They
Rightfully
did it and they'll
so.
do it again.
Rightfully so.
Okay.
Oh. Well, while G is
Sorry.
talking, I'll add on to
Mhm.
your
Go
point.
ahead.
Oh,
No,
I'll
go
get
ahead. I
you.
wanted you to
But,
fill in.
I think like as someone who's currently doing her master's right now,
Oh my gosh.
I honestly like having a bachelor's is not, it's kind of like the new high school degree, I think,
Yeah.
in certain fields. But I think the most important thing, I learned more from experience, from job experience, from actually working than I did at my friggin' 5 years of university that
Mhm.
I've done. Like I learned more from doing things hands-on, and I think that experience is valuable. I learned more from that rather than sitting in a classroom and doing exams and stuff, because I forget everything that I learned. Like I did a bachelor's in health sciences. I forgot everything. I don't even remember my anatomy. But yeah, and it does show, especially when now that I'm working in an office setting. It's like with the practical skills that you learn from like experience, those are more valuable. Those are actually what people are looking for rather than the degree. The degree is just like a fancy little, you can add it to the end of your signature, whatever, a little.
A little
But
zhuzh.
Right.
yeah, but it's yeah, I would say I learn more from experience, from experiencing different things. But it sucks because a lot of jobs these days, they still require the degree. But
Yep.
then when I'm actually like, well, now that I'm actually working in the office, it's like those degrees don't really, like, it doesn't do anything
Mhm.
until you're actually like, on the field and doing stuff. But yeah, it kind of sucks. People are looking for, oh, you need a bachelor's in this and that, you need a master's in this, or you need 15 years of experience in this. One or the
Oh
other.
my god,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have other questions, but I just wanted to open the floor to either Money or Tiff if you had a question for Ali to ask, or if you wanted me to ask another.
I can't think of anything.
Okay.
I think I had one, but I forgot.
Okay. No
Lost it.
worries.
Sorry.
This is the side effect of the long rambling train. I
Yeah.
can discourage questions.
No,
It's a
no,
dodge
it's
and weave
great. So I guess my next question would be, what do you think is the biggest threat to job security? Now, I know that's kind of broad because we're kind of focusing on your field. So I guess maybe if you could probably just give us what you think for your field and then maybe a general answer.
Mm.
Also, I'll be right
If
back
I
on
were
there.
to give
Mm-hmm.
like a direct, oh, sorry, yeah. No, yeah. If I were to give like a direct answer, I would, of course, have to say AI is a
I was
threat in
literally
it.
gonna say that.
Yeah,
That's your biggest threat? AI?
I would say it's on paper the biggest threat.
Right.
It's realistically though, it's a symptom of what the real threat actually is, which is that
Man.
Say what?
Sorry. I said man. Because like the people who are
Humankind.
making AI, the people making the AI.
It's gotta stop.
Get them at the
We should have just
source.
stuck with a fire in the wheel, and that's it. That's where I draw the line. But yeah, no. So I would say that it's actually our
Oh,
government
you're done.
not really.
Okay.
I did it quick.
Say what?
You did so quick.
No, sorry, I apologize.
Oh,
Sorry, we were just banning a bot in our chat.
I just
Oh,
deleted
please.
their
So
message.
quick.
I didn't ban them.
Okay.
No, yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
what I would
ban
say
them.
is it's the fact that our government does not keep up with the technological updates. So AI itself is not really a problem. We're noticing it be a problem more than ever
There's
because our government has not bothered to keep up with the best interest of the people.
Right.
And so
Right.
it accentuates this massive problem.
Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
so surprised. Sorry.
You know what?
like
I was
so
gonna.
secretly the
angry.
government.
Oh, would you look at that? They don't give a fuck about us. Sorry.
This is
I
a
was gonna
Scooby-Doo
say
moment.
they got their most pressing concern is TikTok right now.
Give me a break.
What do you
Generation
think? What do you
destruction.
guys think of that? What do you? Oh, I'm curious.
Oh my
Sorry, what happened
gosh.
now?
Oh,
TikTok.
I just brought
Banning
up the
of TikTok.
TikTok ban.
Oh,
I'm here in
yeah, yeah,
Canada,
yeah.
just chilling. I'm like
Yeah,
watching
money.
you guys. What?
Get out of
We
here.
were just discussing that actually.
What do you
Valerie.
guys think of that? Since you brought up AI and like the government's pressing matters.
I mean,
and-
honestly, I would say that is it something that needs to be checked out? Should it be on the government's docket?
Mhm.
Sure, long term, why not, right? You should kind of know that if a government can or has avenues to pressure companies or its laws don't keep individual companies not beholden to the government for exposing records, that's something that you should consider. But it should be an investigation that's long term, and it should be so far down the list. Because if you're going to really do that, you should be regulating US companies too. DoorDash and Facebook just had that horrifying deal where they were trading non-anonymized data to each other just for the sake of better modeling people's data, better modeling people's profiles, right? That is illegal for them to do. They did not bother to switch people's names. They did not bother to switch people's identifiers. They just sold the data raw, knowing it was raw, right? So the fact remains that is this a broader problem that TikTok is not the avatar for or the sole focus of? Absolutely. Should our government be acting on these things? Absolutely. Are they acting on them in any reasonable way whatsoever by just outright banning TikTok and giving them a year to sell off their company, which they can never do? They can never do that. It's literally impossible to do that. No, that is absolutely ludicrous. It's a waste of our money. It's a waste of the government's time, and it's a stupid response by someone who clearly doesn't understand the nuances of the problem, which is what we pay them to do. We don't pay them to solve problems necessarily. We pay them to understand the nuances of the problem, to know that this is a thing that would require you to do research. We can't, right? We are living our individual lives. All of us can't get together in a room every Friday night that is the size of 10 football fields and say, everybody raise their hands if you read the booklet and understand what tax code 55 does.
Right.
That's literally the job you applied for when you went and talked for vote to get votes, right? You said, listen, I got the time. I'd love to read this giant docket. I'd love to understand how this is going to influence. I would like to plant seeds that will become trees that I won't see grow in my lifetime. I'm okay with that, right? And then when you got into office, you didn't do that. You did literally not that. And your excuse is I did not have the time to read all of this. Then what do you do? What do you do? It's the job. Then if you can't do the job, be upfront about that. Don't say that the job is difficult. We know the job is difficult. That's why I didn't apply to do it. You did.
You did. No, that you speak very well.
He's very eloquent. I know.
Yeah.
He could convince me to
It's
jump
very
off a
true.
bridge
Eloquent.
if he really wanted me to.
He said he could convince
he
me?
can convince me to jump off a bridge, and
I'm
I'd do
doing
it.
it right now.
I'd do it.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess in terms of tech. Wait, I'm sorry because I had to step away for a minute. Did you answer the question in terms of the threat to job security, which would be?
Yeah, I think
I
that
feel
that's
like
what
not
we're starting
fully
to talk
though.
Mhm. Okay.
I figured
I-
your
Sorry,
first answer was gonna be AI.
I changed the topic. That's why.
Oh no. I was just curious. Because like
I figured
I
that you're
in relation to that, like the TikTok thing, like that's gonna take away a lot of jobs. A lot of people rely on TikTok.
Yeah, a lot
to
of
promote their
people.
businesses.
There's like a whole
Yeah.
headquarters
Mhm.
thing
Mhm.
for TikTok in the US. No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
is
I
there?
believe so. Yeah.
Oh, shit. I didn't know all that.
Yeah.
What-
But to also get back to the
Mhm.
question itself, what I meant to essentially say is that yes, AI is what is representing this threat most acutely and making it very obvious.
Mhm.
But it is not AI that is causing it, and it is not something that we need to do with AI in terms of regulating it or better understanding it that would solve the problem. The problem is very fundamentally that this has been happening since the dawn of time. We all know this, right? We all know the Luddites tried to smash the first, looms because they thought that it would destroy artisans who have learned to sew with their hands from their masters and are passing the skill down. So in a
Mhm.
rage, they just smash them, thinking this is an affront to the craft. That has been happening our entire history, right? That
Mm.
technology moves forward. It's just that people abuse the technology. People don't use the technology with any sense of empathy, with any sense of preservation of what its underlying principles were supposed to be. So the reality of it is, we should have one day be able to proceed a future where AI does everything for us, right? We
Mhm.
have nothing to do but be human. Our ancestors thought about this, right? The very first time our ancestors decided not everybody needs to be devoted to food production. Not everybody needs to. What a ludicrous idea, right? Animals
Right.
don't do that. Animals, every single day of your life is spent trying to get food, right?
Right.
And if you had told anybody at the time, I'm not going to go get food, you get food, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to bang these two rocks together and see what happens, they would have called you an idiot.
Mhm.
But one
Mhm.
weird tribe decided to do it. They said, you know, man, you stay home, see what the red clay that you find at the bottom of the river does.
Right.
Even though it has no survival value, even though we are not going to eat it, right? And all as insane as that idea was, it caused a catalyst where we deviated from the rest of the animals, right? Where we deviated enough that we had excess food. We had
Mhm.
excess food. And more professions started from that. The insane idea of there being blacksmiths and, pottery and painting, it all started from the fact that these jobs were invented when something reduced our workload. And AI is supposed to be that.
It's
AI is
supposed to do
supposed to
that.
be the final stage of us being human, of us having nothing but the free time to be humans. And instead, what it is a tool to displace workers. And why is it that? Because that's been happening since the beginning. That when these tools are invented for saving humanity, they are abused by the people who are already in power. And who is supposed to save us from that? There's an invented mechanism. We have the government to save us from that. We know that we as people do not have the organization and the collective uniformity or unanimous will to act immediately in response to threats. So out of all of us, we are a group of 100, we are a group of 200, we pick one person. We say, you go to the Capitol, you go talk to them because you've lived here. You know what we're about. You know what we would like to do. These corporations have trillions of dollars. They have
Mhm.
lawyers, they have fleets, they can crush us. But if we all give you our money, $5 each, $10 each, and you know what it's like to live here, you will be the giant corporation that fights on our behalf, right? That can go toe to toe in the courtrooms, that can
Mhm.
outspend them, that can regulate these massive forces. And every single government you ever see, that works for quite a while. That course worked for quite a while. And then new things are invented. Countries go into these massive booms because when those things are invented, they are at least partially used for the benefit of the people, to reduce workload, to get
Mhm.
down to a 5-day work week, right? Instead of a 7
Mhm.
one, to
Mhm.
get down to a limited amount of hours per day, right? And then inevitably, as prosperity grows, this organization no longer represents us. It does not
Right.
reflect, even if you take the individual worth of these people, they don't reflect the people you are shoulder to shoulder with. They don't reflect the people you grew up with. They don't have the same experiences. And so, why would they vote for you? Why would they ever fight these massive entities that you don't have the ability to fight? That is the real problem to job security, is that it always has been that our government doesn't represent our interests. It has entirely become disassociated with the people, and new technological advances now threaten the worker, just as they did with the auto workers who were
Right.
displaced by automation. And that's all that will ever happen unless we address this underlying issue. It's not as if we can stop inventing new shit, right?
Mhm.
That's
Right.
not how society works. No one can stop us from doing that. It will happen inevitably, but new
Yeah.
shit should be a source of improvement. It should be a source of
Right.
freeing humanity from chains.
Right.
I'm sorry, I went way too long
No,
there.
no, no. I'm
No,
glad.
that
No, it's
was
okay.
Mhm.
poetic. I need somebody to. You guys need to make a highlight out of that
Yeah.
because that was literally. It sure it took a minute, but once it came around, I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god!"
This is why I
Literally, because
invited the man
I
on. Yeah. I'm saying.
no, it's you.
So well
Mhm.
spoken.
This
Genuinely,
is
yes.
everybody is being extremely charitable, and they're trying to entertain
No,
these long rants.
stop. No, no, no. I think. I mean, I Is it okay if I add or speak
Yeah, go ahead.
on that?
Oh,
No, you
I
can't. We
think
just brought you on to be
no,
eye
I
candy.
just
Okay, that's all you're here
no,
for.
no.
The
Just
best
shut
eye
up and look
candy.
pretty. No, I'm just kidding.
Stop.
Yeah.
This was giving when you told me you were like, all right, money's coming, get out.
Oh, yeah.
But what I was gonna say was you have found the words. You have clearly there's been a lot of thought to this, and I do this too. I just haven't done it with this topic yet. Like I do think very deeply into things, and there's clearly like consistencies that you've noticed that I don't think anybody really takes into account. Like when you did the analogy of everybody's going to get food, one person was like, actually, I'm going to stay behind and see what those rocks do, right? And then it's like we found something else that may not be essential for living, but it makes living easier. And I I don't think you could have explained like the capabilities of AI well enough because it is here to help and instead it is being used to harm um in many aspects, right? Like career wise. I mean, actually probably just career wise because I imagine people are making art, right? They're stealing art. They're there goes the graphic designers. And now like my fiance, for example, his job or part of his job is to like take notes while on a call and things like that, you know, and he was telling me that his job is integrating AI to help lessen that load, to help transcribe the conversation without him having to be there, you know, trying to grab every word, which obviously sounds like a great use of AI, right? But um and I'm sure there are going to be instances where it is used as it should be, right? And I would hope in this case it would be like this, right? Where just the AI doing that job doesn't take away the other things that he needs to do that AI can't, right? Like, I don't know, interacting with the workers or something, right?
Mhm.
But especially considering like recent events within like the last like 6 7 months, it's like you said, like we are not in the government's best interest. I'm convinced like we are just like these little guinea pigs. I mean, that's truly what it does feel like, even if like everyone has their conspiracies or whatever, but and you know, like sometimes people will sound crazy and they'll be like, "Oh, they're out to get us," right? And it's like, "All right, Janet, I know what you're saying, but like, you know, don't say it like that because people are gonna think you're crazy." But they're not, you know. And it's like it's been proven time and time again, and it hasn't been more obvious ever. I feel until right now, where people are like, they want the next step is killing us.
Yeah.
No, actually, probably even not because it's in our food. You know what I mean? Like nothing. It's like everything doesn't work in our favor.
Yeah.
And I think there was something you had mentioned earlier about I don't know. Basically, it was regarding like the student loans and like, you know, like you're paying $500,000 to go to school to get a job that you're not guaranteed, to hope that you get paid enough to get a house, but you need to have more money. You know what I mean? It's like now everything's just out of order and nothing can work. And now you're making AI, now AI is taking our jobs, whatever. But I feel like yeah, you explained it. I mean, very 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 well. You need to highlight it. It's so good.
Yeah,
I'm going to take it for myself.
definitely would be a highlight.
It's really yeah, you worded yourself very well.
No, I
But
mean, that's very kind of you. And I have to agree that there is no incentive anymore, right? Like, what's the incentive of working hard is to maybe make it,
Mhm.
kind of
yeah.
make it, right? Still, if you're going to retire by 65, if you're lucky, if you're very lucky, right? How are you supposed to make it that many years without losing your job? And the displacement that you're talking about, like, inevitable. The government
Yeah.
really can't stop that, nor should they. The
Mhm.
point is that when the displacement happens, and it's supposed to happen, even in the best case scenario, it's supposed to happen. That's a good thing. We need a response to the displacement, right?
Right.
The reality of it is, this is a turning point for humanity. We all know it. We've grown up watching sci-fi, right? If I mean, a lot of developers, actually, a lot of programmers who are directly working with AI will tell you it's not. They will tell you it's a tool. It is a tool like any other
Mhm.
to enhance work, and it will never replace people. And I feel like that's a disingenuous argument because you are purposely bounding it to its current use, which by design, by its own definition, it cannot be for very long, right? The point of this is that if parts of my job are already getting replaced, that's a fact. It's integrated into my own work tools that I use frequently, and I've become reliant on them to a degree. If it can replace my job, and I'm the one making these things, it can replace any blue collar job that day. Not slowly, not over time, not it's coming for you in 5 years. The day it replaces this job, it replaces everything parallel to it, which is the majority of jobs, right? And you have to ask yourself, when the auto industry experienced this displacement, was it 15, 20% of the workforce. I couldn't even, let's exaggerate. Let's say it was 30% of the workforce in the entire United States of America, right? It was such a big deal. Let's even, you know what, go opposite. Let's lowball. Let's say it was only 5 to 10%. It was still so impactful. We learn about it to this day. People who were not alive at the time still learn about it as part of history because of the economic impact it had. Now, if you take that and extrapolate it out to how many blue collar jobs would be displaced within 5 to 10 years of this burgeoning technology reaching some sort of upcoming zenith, right? You realize there's no system that can survive it. It's not as if the rich would do better than us. They wouldn't. Because this money, its entire value proposition is that it's circulatable and that it has this finite value proposition for everybody, right? The rich people's money is worthless if we have none. The rich people's money is worthless when we have no means of earning it. Not because we should, recertify. That's the common argument, right? Of like, let's recertify. There'll be new jobs because AI will need prompt engineers. Prompt engineer is a finite job, not in terms of just how many positions will be available, but the job itself is an interstitial step. It is not the end goal of AI. It is already being phased out before it even became a real thing, because the whole point is supposed to be conversational AI. The whole point is supposed to be that you don't need a prompt engineer to enter specific things as a parallel to programming, is that we try to make this simple as possible and make it basic human language. And that will happen within a very short amount of time right after AI becomes much more mainstream. It's not a far leap. So, okay, what do? Do 50 to 60% of us, of the entire population of the United States, become prompt engineers and only last for another 5 to 10 years? Then what we certify to what else? No new jobs will exist in a quantity that remotely matches the level of displacement. Because this is not an issue of displacement, we are supposed to be replaced. We are supposed to be displaced. It's just that our economic system is supposed to
Sorry,
change
one
to
minute.
adapt to it. Sorry, what?
I'm just gonna be real quick. There's a cat, Akira. But
Oh,
go
they're
go
beefing?
ahead. Go
Are
ahead.
Yeah, they're beefing. I can hear the beef.
Oh no.
He said, "There's a." Hopefully not the. Oh my gosh.
I think it's
And
good
when you
enough.
point, I see your dog in the back.
Me?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see
I
that.
got one over here.
You got
and I got
two.
one over here.
Cute.
She likes to say hi. Her
Oh
name
my
is Bella.
god. Hi Bella.
Hi, Bella.
People in chat call her Lala sometimes.
Aww.
Yeah, I
That
like
name matches,
Lala.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's
Cute.
very anxious. Like, she's so cute. I'll feel the weight of her body, like, on my chair when she comes up like this. I'll be, like, talking, and I'm like, oh my god. She will literally just hang out there.
Oh, look
another
at that.
friend.
I know. And the one that just walked by, he's 15. He's an oldie.
Aww. So it's just the two that you have?
Yeah. I had Hey, hi. I had 4 dogs, and
Wow.
two passed away last year.
Oh,
So it was like, I know,
No.
it sucked. It was like
sorry
the
to hear
worst thing
that.
ever. It's okay. It was my first time experiencing pet loss. One passed away in May, and then the other passed away in July. And the one that passed away in May was like reasonable. Why am I talking about this? Sorry, she was older, and then
Yeah,
the
there's
smaller
it's not a
dog.
crime. This is
Yeah.
not.
No, I know. I just
Wait,
feel like
what?
I just realized we're not like on a normal Discord chat. Like we're live. I literally feel like I'm talking to you guys.
And we
but-
asked.
Yeah, we did ask.
But yeah, and one passed away. She was like 14 in May, and I said that was reasonable. I meant it was like anticipated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the other one that passed in July, she was only like 13, and it just really, that one was really unexpected, so it really sucked. So Jerry, I named him when I was a child. Okay, after Tom and
Oh,
Jerry. I know it's a funny
That's
name.
cute. That's cute. That's
Jerry.
like that's like how I named my turtle, so it's fine.
I named my turtle Tommy.
You
I
have a
used to
turtle
have one.
too?
Sorry, I used to have one.
Oh,
Oh,
dang.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I got
I
excited
didn't
Sorry
mean
about
to
too.
be fake. I know.
I was
Well-
like, turtle moms reunite.
Apparently,
I know.
there's a mom cat outside, and she's chilling with her 2 kittens outside. So
Oh,
yeah,
Squaring up.
yeah. So she's got beef. Anyway, yeah. Sorry about that.
No.
no, it's okay.
But yeah, you make a good argument about how like AI is here to help us, and I feel like that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I wanted to talk about it. I feel like a lot of people talk about like how impactful it will be to moving forward in terms of our futures, in terms of careers. So
It's good and bad to it.
yeah,
AI.
So to follow up on that, I guess I wanted to ask, what do you do to maintain your job security?
Oh, that's a hard.
Hmm.
That's a very difficult question. Um, the transition I made, I used to sort of just dance around the stack, but one of the big choices I made was to be much more focused on the back end. And the reason that was because I could very easily, I mean, not just me, it's not a pattern that I detected. It was very commonly understood among programmers that the first level to be replaced would be the front end engineers,
Hmm.
the front end only engineers. Mobile engineers as well. I would say they would probably be one of the first casualties to this, but it's the same as how you don't really see web designers anymore,
Hmm.
right? That used to be a fully legitimate programming job, but now you kind of just see like some posters around of someone kind of doing it in their free time. But you would use like Wix or like I don't know, there's like a million of these, not Squarespace and all that stuff, right?
Squarespace. Yeah.
GoDaddy.com.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah,
That's
they
true.
pivoted. That was a really weird pivot for them, but they're
Mhm.
pulling it off. But now you have these no-code solutions that handle that for you, and as the next step, AI would most likely replace front-end engineers first.
Mhm.
So I just ran to the back end. I learned as much as I could about the back end, tried to become much more difficult to replace. I became much more integral in how my company, architects its solutions, so that I have this sort of long-term knowledge that is invaluable to them, even if the role itself is not necessary for making any new features. Right? Somebody needs to
Right.
understand this legacy code.
Mhm.
I can't claim to have any advice about how to do that in a way that's super safe and permanent. It's not. I have no illusions that that would also not eventually get replaced. Of
Mhm.
course it would, right? I mean, sometimes I see it now. Sometimes I'll use some tools that are part of my regular workflow, and I'll ask it to make me something, and I'll be shocked as to how complex of a solution it can make
Mhm.
and how nuanced of a solution it can make. Sometimes better than what I can make. That's the part that weirds me out, is that I think, no, surely I've trumped it. This is too complex of a problem. I'll ask it with a very simple prompt to at least do part of it. And then it usually kind of extrapolates out whatever else I wasn't asking it, but it would have been the common usage of this little snippet, and gives me a broader solution and a faster one than I would have actually made. Mine would have had a lot of pit stops in the middle. So that's the scary part of like, yes, will backend also get, replaced? Obviously.
Mhm.
Is there a safe thing that I'm doing with my career otherwise? I not really, not really at all. I have no advice about that because, as I said before, the displacement is going to affect everything.
Mhm.
It kind of has to. So you can't really find anywhere. I mean, you could say manual labor will be the last thing to be replaced to a degree, because yeah, we already have bots that handle shipping, but
Mhm.
this is where you can see people's true nature, that they don't really want to spend the money on the intricate parts.
Mhm.
That's the cost prohibitive part of this, is that AI will for sure advance faster than like physical platforms for it will catch up in, because there's no incentive. Why would you spend money on interchangeable units that have a high cost, are very specific to certain functions? When they're damaged, it's way too much to replace them. When you have people, you don't care what people's knees do. I mean, people, construction workers, mine workers, anybody working in physical retail, they know what they're doing to you. They know they're blowing out your knees. They know you've got 20, 30 years max. It's just that your knees aren't that really expensive to them. They can find a new worker really fast, and they aren't liable for your needs. So they are liable for the needs of this platform that they buy, and it's really expensive. And today it's fine, but if tomorrow the shape of your boxes changes drastically enough, or the nature of the hand movements for this part of the line change enough, they would have spent a lot of money retrofitting that line. So manual labor, weirdly enough, not all of it, but most of it, is probably going to be the safest because it's just not feasible to really replace. Again, that's not me saying everybody go be manual labor, or
Right.
like, that's me saying that again, the economic system needs to change. It's that we have tied people's lives, right, to this economy, and money is a fantastic invention. Money is such an amazing idea,
Money is.
because like
Money is.
Yeah.
there we go. And the currency,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
also
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but mostly back to
Can agree.
no,
Can agree.
I think we have a unanimous vote on this.
Mhm.
Right.
Money is this insane invention, because I don't want to figure out if you need 2 goats or if you need 3 eggs for me to get the thing off of you that I need, right?
Right.
I want you and I to be in a contract that we both agree on, that I have 3 of this slip of paper and you will accept it for anything I want from you, because you can get anything for it, right?
Mhm.
What a beautiful invention. It makes trade so fast, it makes it so fluid, it allows commerce to become this driving force that makes your nation so powerful. But it's an antiquated idea. And when it first came out, an insane concept, right? For people to say, like, why would I ever trust the government? Why would I ever assume that I can get a gold bar for this,
Mhm.
right? Nobody would have told you that this is the way it naturally should function, or that there are not dangers involved that make it prohibitive. Fine. But we all took the risk. Every society took the risk. And any society that took the risk first profited heavily, because money is a fantastic invention. And money is a wonderful host.
Yeah.
Yes.
the-
Thank you.
In both
Thank
the
you.
game. Yeah. Okay.
But this risk is not being taken anymore. Nobody takes this risk of realizing that has outlived its value. That has outlived its value. As we are getting replaced, telling people that your livelihood, your ability to get shelter, your ability to eat, your ability to have loved ones, your ability to have kids, your ability to get medicine is tied to this scrap of paper is a false economy, because you will no longer have the ability on your best day, with your best effort, have anything that you can offer that can get you this scrap of money. How do you get it? If you're willing to work hard, if you're willing, I'm not saying you're lazy or anything, right? I'm saying you have talent, you have degrees, there's just nowhere for you to go, because why wouldn't AI just do that same job? Why wouldn't it?
Mhm.
And if that's 80 to 90% of jobs, why do we still have money? Why do we still have money? What can we possibly say to people when they cannot earn a scrap of it? That this is still tied to your livelihood, that this is still tied to your worth, right? You can try to make it a moral thing. You can try to make it as well. These people are lazy, and the hardworking ones will still bubble to the top. And that again assumes there is somewhere left to work hard. But if there's nowhere left to work hard, a new system is needed, because this doesn't reflect reality anymore. It doesn't reflect reality. It doesn't reflect anyone's right to survive.
Mhm.
It doesn't reflect anyone's right to food. It doesn't reflect anyone's right to basic dignity, right? Which already was a crazy concept to begin with, but it is now very aged. It's now very aged to believe that human dignity, the basic survival, depends on your ability to go earn a scrap of paper that is no longer really earnable.
Just
Fuck.
taking that in.
When you say it like that, it's like, damn.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're
10 out of
still
10.
taking it in. Go ahead. You have a question?
No, I was snapping.
Mhm.
Like, yay. That was good.
So,
That was
yeah.
amazing.
Like you summed up
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
the
why I
existential
wanted to bring
crisis
him
of
up.
humanity.
Yeah. Okay. To follow that, because I agree 100%. I don't really think I have a point to contest that.
I mean, unless you
Mhm.
want to go through what Liberty on the
Sorry, I
chat
did not
said.
because I was dealing with the cat situation. Welcome
Okay.
in. Welcome in.
Welcome in, Liberty. Welcome
Yeah,
in, Mari.
hello.
Liberty said that bartering isn't efficient.
Do you agree?
Oh no, bartering is absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to go back to a time where I have to figure out what your specific puzzle piece needed.
Right.
I can't
Oh
talk to
God.
everybody like this. I can't
Right.
go from place to place. Like I stopped at Jewel
Right.
Osco, and today they've always taken goats, but today they have a surplus of goats, and now I have to go get cow's milk.
Now I
What
gotta go
exactly
get
does
cow's milk.
bartering mean?
I actually looked it up because I didn't know what it meant. So I have it
don't-
up. It says exchange goods or services for other goods or services without using money.
Mhm.
So it's
Oh, like
like,
trading.
I give you braid.
Yeah, like
I give you
trading,
bread
right?
for that pen you have in your pocket. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
bartering, right?
trading services, right?
Right, but without money involved. Ha 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 ha. Sorry.
I mean, I think certain things it could work because I know I've heard that there's this like app or something where you can trade your services with someone else. For example, if someone's
well, yeah.
like a masseuse, they'll give you a free massage and then you give them, let's say,
If you like
I don't know, do something for
install a
them.
toilet in your
Yeah,
house.
and plumbing or something.
Right.
I think
Weird
specifically
exchange.
exchanging services, but I think it
Well-
has to be of equal. Yeah, what do you say? Go ahead.
No, I'm getting excited. Finish.
Oh no, I didn't have anything else to add.
Yeah,
on.
I feel that
Oh.
also probably falls into the realms of communism, which I don't know, is a very debatable subject, but yeah.
But I
Any
I was-
communists in chat?
Karl Marx?
Where the Marx is at.
Yeah, or the Marxists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
Sorry, go ahead, Tiff.
No. All I was gonna say was well, I mean, this is a given. I don't even know if I should make it a note, but when I looked up bartering the first time that Liberty said it, because I didn't know what it meant, I was like, but that could be a good thing, right? And then as Money was talking, I was like, oh my God, no, that's a terrible thing, because What if I don't possess any skills? I'm gonna die. Nobody's gonna want anything. You know? And then when you really think about it, it's fucked. How about I teach you how to make bread? And now we can make bread together and we can sell it to that guy. for
Teach a man
money.
to fish.
And buy another
Yeah.
money.
Then he
Buy
makes
another
then he
thing
makes
with
better
money.
bread than you and displaces you.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
true.
Okay.
Oh nah.
So I guess
I'll fight him.
Can
I'll send
your bicker
fraudulent
can your bicker
emails
fight?
from his account.
Can your bicker fight though?
Yeah, I'm gonna send fraudulent emails to his clients.
Yeah. Bad reviews.
throwback.
We'll never trace it back. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were a single mother of two.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, my bad.
So you touched on it briefly, but because you were talking about manual labor when you were using you were talking about how these companies know your show life, right? So I guess I wanted to follow that up by asking, what do you think the future looks like in terms of the most practical job fields, with AI being the threat that it is, I guess?
I honestly can't say anything would be safe.
Mhm.
There's no real reason for it to be. I mean, again, the only thing that really makes sense is a fundamental reconsideration of how our economy works
Mhm.
and how we value people. But beyond that, I can't imagine any career is safer than maybe one generation, and that's being pretty charitable.
Mhm.
Most of what our economy has evolved into, most of the jobs we have are surprisingly blue collar jobs. That isn't to say there isn't substantial labor force that is not involved with those jobs, you know, retail,
Sorry.
any kind of labor, construction. I think I recognize that very acutely
Mhm.
because that has been EJ's sound for like as long as I can remember.
I'm consistent, if anything else.
I know it's his, but it jumps me every time. I
Really?
just jump. I get scared every time. But I know it's his.
I'm gonna heal Zelda in your nightmares.
But yeah, no, I can't say that I would feel confident that anything is safe for long term. It's not supposed to be. That's supposed to be the end goal that we're working towards anyway, is that we invent something that nobody really has to work.
Mhm.
That's kind of what we've been doing since the beginning. It's humanity's driving force, right? You can't stop that, and if you did, we'd stop being humans. And if that is the goal, I can't pretend that anything would be left. It's like, so what if nothing's left, right? It's not supposed to be a nihilistic thing. I
Mhm.
don't think any of us wanted to be doing forms and filing for
Mhm.
the rest of our lives. Nobody did. It was supposed to be that this was necessary to survive, but if it's not necessary to survive,
Mhm.
why are we still doing it? So AI will for sure replace all those things.
Do you don't feel like just the nature of being competitive would generate
Competitive
that?
will?
Because like I feel like the majority of society is just based on like, I want to be better than you, and I want
Yeah.
everyone else to know, right?
I feel like
So
that's just America, to be
yeah,
honest.
so I kind of feel
Capital.
like, while I do agree with you that like AI is a threat to like, or what you said, the end goal to like making it so that we can all be human, I feel like
Right.
the
That's
competitive
very
nature of
nice.
man will always find a way,
Prevail,
right?
right.
In a sense.
Yeah,
so-
like that's beautiful, and I don't disagree.
I mean,
but
I don't think
let's
it's beautiful.
Be honest.
Like I don't
No,
like the
no, 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 no.
mentality of
Living-
like, you know, I
living
always have
in
to
peace
seem
amongst
better
each
than
other?
you. No. I mean
No, I was saying
oh,
what
okay,
what
okay.
Elliot was saying about no, please don't get me wrong.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, yeah, no,
But
I like to
actually-
compete. I don't know about you.
This is a war fan.
Yeah.
I meant about like living, improving life.
Mhm.
Like that's the
Yeah.
point, right? Like AI is supposed to help make our lives easier, so we can live more like humans. We can be more human, and we have more time to be human.
Mhm.
But it goes back to the government thing. They kind of don't want us to do that.
Mhm.
But then also, like like you said, you know, like what I meant to say was, yeah, living like a human sounds beautiful. I wish I could just be. I wish I could just exist and enjoy existing.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to be, and I'm literally the last person to be like a pessimist, and I will always have hope. But it's like, that's a really big ask
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it's like you said, G, like, as long as the world, I don't know, something incredible happens.
Mhm.
Like the whole world, like all of society just gangs up, something really massive,
Mhm.
like it's gonna be consistent.
Mhm.
It's, you know, you're gonna find yourself like going through the same feelings
Yeah.
again.
I guess maybe then, since Tiff elaborated, and I guess a
But I
better
was
question.
agreeing, sorry.
Yeah, no. I think a better question to ask would be, I guess, what do you think? Okay, since if we get to a point where like, yeah, we get to that state where like we're just focused on being human. Like I said, I feel like the competitive nature of man in general will just create something new. What do you think? Or just because this is speculative, right? There's no right or wrong answer. What do you think would come of that? Like, what do you think the new thing would be that would
I
separate
genuinely
us by
feel like
caste? Or...
it would be not so different from what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
It's that we have this underlying system that
Mm-hmm.
exists. We obscure it with these weird abstractions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of it is everything that is worth living for, everything that's good about humanity has already been these systems that reflect what we do when we're given time to be human.
Mm-hmm.
The wheel, fire, you know, anything, cotton, I don't know, just looms, flint and tinder,
Mm-hmm.
anything till now has just been sort of an experiment, has just
Mm-hmm.
been that people were human beings. They were given time to be human beings.
Mm-hmm.
They were taken away from the need to produce food for 5 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in those 5 seconds, they made things that do not exist,
Mm-hmm.
that do not exist. Entire ideas, philosophies, physical tools, everything
Mm-hmm.
they made because they were just given 5 seconds to not be animals, to
Mm-hmm.
not have to worry about food and survival. I'm not saying that they had easy lives, these inventors, these
Right.
whatever paragons, but it is because they were divorced from this idea that what I do in every minute has to generate X amount of value. There
Mm-hmm.
was no value in what they were doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So humanity doing this, and they would continue to do that, is that you would just be given more time to be human. And whether you waste that time or whether you spend it, I mean, I shouldn't even say waste. There is no such thing as wasting that time. If you sit around doing nothing in that time, that's still objectively fine. Why
Mm-hmm.
would it be any different? This is an insanity that we have, that we pretend we understand
Mm-hmm.
what this time is, right? But it's a ludicrous thing. It's a ludicrous thing that we're able to perceive ourselves like this, that we're able to just exist in this chaotic state where we're just a speck floating in space, this insane coincidence that really shouldn't happen. And for anybody to say that they have any clue what's going on, you're full of shit. You're full of absolute shit. If I spend my life staring at a wall and you spend your life building a house, you will pretend that it's more value. Will the universe find it? Will anybody objectively actually find it to be more value? Which option was right? Which option can you honestly say that you know in your heart confidently which option was right and which life was better lived? Nobody does. Nobody actually does. Whatever happiness you found by either sitting at home doing nothing as a human being
Mm-hmm.
is the exact equivalent of someone who invented 5 new patents, who invented the wheel. Did these things help humanity? Sure, you can have some egalitarian philosophy and say who generated the most good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, that is an objective thing. Consciousness ends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe there's somebody that has a specific religious vision in their mind, and they could be wrong, they could be right. But the reality of it is, as far as anyone knows, you have one go on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You have one go of very finite time, and what you do in that time, it's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter. It does not have objective value or not. It's only valuable to you. There is no right or wrong, right? So people would be humans. Some people would sit around doing nothing. Some people would invent new things.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Both are beautiful. Both are beautiful expressions. Both are singular to you. Both are you observing this moment where you are a talking, walking piece of rock that somehow can see itself in a mirror, right? That somehow knows it exists and isn't driven insane by that fact, isn't driven absolutely insane by that lunacy. And then you spent your time with other people talking about the same shit. If you sit in a cafe and talk about philosophy, fantastic. If you don't, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's what humans would do. That's what they currently do. We just feel guilty about it, right? When we take the time to be human, we shame
Or
ourselves.
it's just really impossible. Like
Yeah.
the lives that we are forced to live make it so that's not possible.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
absolutely rob us of your humanity. We cut it off
Yeah.
chunk by chunk as we get older. At some point, we look back and realize we've cut off too much and we don't really necessarily know how to get it back.
Okay.
And that's the reality of this situation, is that pretending we haven't been human is a trick of the system.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Pretending that if we didn't have to wake up for work, if we didn't have
Right.
to, we would all be lazy good for nothings, right?
Right.
And pretending that industry has driven this innovation is also ludicrous, because I can tell you for a fact, everywhere I've worked, industry is the death of innovation. Industry, the more success you achieve, the more innovation is sliced away from the equation. You can see this in Google. You can see this easily in Google. I have a friend who works at Google who has told me the culture is rotten, that it is not a place of creation anymore. Once it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the success has robbed them of that exact thing that made them famous.
Hmm.
Because industry is not the driving force behind innovation. It has been people who were outside of industry when industry told them this is not efficient. Industry told them to get back to work. Industry told them, how does this give me another dollar for the bottom line? How does this generate shareholder value? And they just said, I don't know, man, it'd be fun. It'd be fun if I took apart this machine and made a new weird arm out of it. I've never tried it
Mhm.
before. And so they made an arm. And now the entire automotive industry likes to pat itself in the back and say, look at how forward thinking we were in these in this automation venture. Look at how we saw the future and we invested in it. Bullshit. You probably chastised this employee 10 times before he did this on his own, and then you came in and said, good job, man, good job, like pat on the back.
Mm-hmm.
So all I mean to say is the question is indicative of how much we've been robbed of our own perception of humanity, that we think these are two separate things when really it's always existed.
Mm-hmm.
We've always been people who invent things. We've always been people who try to find new things. We're puzzle solvers. We are pattern seers. It's not just us, it's monkeys, it's everybody, right? It's that we cannot deny the nature that we can't believe this fallacy that people are lazy, that people deserve whatever lot because they aren't working harder, or this person has more money because they worked harder, or without industry we would encourage people to do nothing and be lazy. We are pattern solving, problem seeking puzzle solvers. We all are. And that's what we would continue to do. We would just make things that matter to us, to matter to the people, to the people around us. Maybe make humanity better, maybe don't. Doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of, because I was just thinking what you were talking about. I mean, it's a different field, but it's like the same way where you're talking about the arm and how like some person did it in their time, and now that, the automotive industry takes credit for that. And it's like, in a sense, it's not the same, but like, it's, for example, like you see all these times, you see these shows in Hollywood and things that people pitch to them and they're like, this would be great to see on TV, but how does this bring in money? You know what I mean? And it's like,
Right.
until someone is willing to take a risk on maybe a new franchise or a new IP, like they won't do it. But then it happens and it's actually successful, and they're like, oh yeah, we knew it would be a hit. And it's like, no,
This
you
is the
didn't.
new meta, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. So yeah, I can see that. So in a sense, just like for me, just to break it down, just going back to being human, if assuming that like AI got to a point where we just, let's say, magically solved all our problems, we would just continue in that existence. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. I guess I don't know, Money or Tiff, if you have anything to add, or if you had a question you wanted to ask Ali, and I'm probably gonna ask him the last question that I had for him.
I don't have any questions right now.
I don't think I have any either
Okay.
right now.
So I know you touched on it briefly, but do you? I guess I kind of have to rephrase this based on kind of what you said, but I'll still ask the way I asked it. Do you think there's ways to neutralize the negative effects of AI, or at least regulate it so that it isn't a threat to job security?
Mm.
That is a difficult question.
Yeah.
I would say, oh, my earphone just fell out and got tangled in my hair. How
Oh,
wonderful. Gives me
geez.
more time to think about the question.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very quickly. So regulated, absolutely not. I mean, there will be attempts to do so. They will always be late. But the reality of it is you're trying to regulate something that is for sure inevitable. It's like trying to say, let's regulate cell phones. Like, okay, sorry, what?
Well, all I was gonna say was I'm contesting what you're saying, and I hope that maybe I interpreted what you initially said right. But AI, the issue isn't AI, it's how it's being used. There's, like, we need to use it for our benefit, but people are using it to harm. When you started to go off on that tangent, my initial thought was, well, what I had anticipated was that you were going to eventually bring it back to the fact that the government doesn't really care about us because they don't, and then that that in itself should be regulated, right? Or have some limitations, right? So now my question is, or if you haven't figured out my question, because I'm trying to make it in my head right now, is that when you say that you think it shouldn't be regulated, how do you anticipate that like people won't use it for wrong if it's not regulated in some way? Does that make sense?
No, yeah, that totally makes
Like,
sense.
it's just like a tiny little question before you go off, because I'm just like, okay, well, if you want it regulated or you don't, And what
No,
does
no,
it
I
look
can
like?
definitely see that there's like a bit of contest here, right? But
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's no way to
the
stop it, right? There's
yeah, the key point is that this is a technology that will become ubiquitous with everything. This will for sure replace the majority of work. So regulating will only delay what is inevitable, right? And
Mm,
of course, companies will skirt those regulations the same as they skirt the regulations now, because the same as we were mentioning earlier, that
right.
the problem isn't really AI. It's that you give anybody any tool, they will use
Right.
it to displace workers if they can save $1, right? The problem is
Right.
that
We
companies
see.
did not have that ability. It's that it's not just that we need workers' rights, it's that you are trying to solve for a problem that will no longer really exist or meaningfully describe our lives. Is that you cannot really have workers. The idea of workers is an extinct idea in this at this time,
Yeah.
right? If no one can work because there are no positions, what is the value of even having this definition and say that you should only be able to earn money by this one avenue? There's no value to money. So if you try to regulate AI, all you're saying is that, okay, we'll pass laws to start to titrate a little bit. Like we'll start to make it just drop at a time, a slow death. But that death is coming. So if we instead embrace the fact that that death is supposed to happen, that no one is really supposed to have a job anymore, because how
Hmm.
could they? How legitimately could they? The government's job is then to find a new basis for our economy, is to specifically say the scope of our problem is money is what we use to define people's livelihood, and people cannot earn money. So how then do we distribute what we have? How then do we take the abundant wealth of humanity? And I'm not saying communism was the best plan. I'm not saying socialism was the best plan. I'm not saying that there is an easy model for equitably sharing what we have. But currently, we generate more resources than anybody ever needs. That's the reality of it. Food waste is not even a problem I'm considering. I'm considering that even without food waste, right? We generate enough food for everybody to be as fat as you want to be, as much as you want to indulge. That's the truth of it. We have enough space for everybody to live. We live in a time of abundance that has never existed, that our ancestors would not have dreamed of. And with that, what we are doing is
Oh no.
oh,
creating a continued
Oh,
model of money. Sorry, what?
no, you kind
sorry.
of
Like
froze for a
froze.
minute.
Ah,
You're good now.
no, yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
You're good though.
Sorry. So I was thinking we're creating artificial scarcity because it preserves the proposition of money. If you really were modeling the system as it exists, and you would say, money is tied to labor, money is tied to the amount
Right.
of resources, money would be meaningless because
You
the
need to give
resources
money
have reached.
value.
Mm.
Yeah, and then, but the thing is, resources have reached a point where it actually doesn't. It doesn't. There is no scarcity by which you could say this product is worth this much. It isn't worth this much. There is enough supply of it that it is trivial to everybody. So the entire proposition is now based entirely on this fake value to say you have it, I don't. You have this thing, I don't. You have the means to get it, and I don't. Right? I've blocked off the street, and the money is the street. To say, even though we could all have this item, you can't have it because you cannot have the job that lets you have the money to get this back. Right? Why not? If it's going to go rotten on the tree, if it's going to go rot in someone's warehouse, why can't I have this? If we generated it for us, right? Why can I not have this? And again, the proposition is back to the same point that kills it, which is if no one can earn money, why should we have these jobs that are supposed to give us money to buy the things, right? So the question that you asked earlier was, do we regulate it? Do we not? Regulating it does nothing. Regulating just makes it so a 5-year plan for
People
expiration
spend a
turns into
little.
a 10, turns into a 15, turns into 20. The end result is there is a thing that
Right.
exists that does all of our jobs, or
Right.
inevitably will. Then the jobs don't exist anymore. They don't. Pretending they do, or creating new ones that
Yep.
will also inevitably get replaced much faster.
Hmm.
You're just trying to prolong a dying system. You are artificially injecting things, more abstractions, more distractions, more new games, new things that we all have to commonly pretend to have value in order to keep a dead system going. Bartering was dead at the time, right? Bartering was. People did not want to. It's not that it was necessarily useless. It was that you could not keep fast flowing commerce in this ridiculous system of having to understand every person's needs individually and then play a game of trader to trade with somebody else to get the thing you need to get from 5 other people down the line.
Mhm.
So it was replaced by money. Money needs to be replaced. That's the truth of it.
Mhm.
That's our government's role. Our government's role is to determine we owe, this is our constituents. This is who we act on behalf of. And for their survival, a new system is necessary. That is what the government is supposed to intervene and say,
Right.
jobs don't exist, companies don't exist,
Mhm.
money can't exist as an
Matter.
idea.
Yeah.
I mean, the new
Oh,
fundamental shift needs to happen, right? It has to happen in someone's life. Some peasant at the time was probably thinking, how insane, why is this happening in my life? It's insane and it's not doable. And now it's a distant thing in the past to us. It's so trivial to think about money
Mhm.
without realizing how absolutely mind-bending and life-changing it was. It is undeniably the time for a new system because the system cannot work unless we all lie. And if we all lie, it only works for another 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
I don't know if that
shit.
actually answered your question or if I just went in another circle.
No, I mean it does.
No.
I'm just thinking about the concepts. Um,
I mean, I don't know what the actual end result will look like. I'm not
Right.
sitting here as a planner saying,
No, but
yeah, I
here's the
don't, because it's a
utopian
hard
society.
question to answer. I don't really think, because
Yeah.
like I said, and as we all agree, like no one can stop it, right? I think we
Mhm.
were discussing this earlier, and we were talking about like things that changed humanity, like the wheel and the cell phone. Like I said, I think the
Yeah.
last thing technically would have been the cell phone that changed our society and how it functions and how
right.
it looks.
Yeah. You
And
couldn't have changed the wheel. You couldn't have stopped the wheel
right,
from becoming as common as it was. No matter
exactly.
what you did, it was going to happen.
Right. So it's a hard question to answer in terms of with AI, because that looks like that is the future of our
Mm-hmm.
society and humanity.
And it should be a good thing. It's unfortunate
Yeah.
that the way it's used is horrifying. The displacement
Right.
it causes isn't a celebration because we trust that our government wouldn't take care of us. We trust that nobody has the guts to change the system anymore. No one has the guts to represent their actual constituents anymore.
Mhm.
So it does suck that when we see this thing that we have dreamed of our whole lives,
Mhm.
an end to human suffering,
Right.
an answer to the question of when will we be allowed to just be humans
Mhm.
at
Mm-hmm.
our best all the time. It comes and it's poisoned and soured by the fact that the people we have in office, the people we have put there to safeguard us, only for the purpose of safeguard us, to be our voice when we are the most exploited, most disadvantaged, right?
Mhm.
They have sold us out.
Mhm.
Not because they're, I can't say that it's a unique failing. I can't say that like, oh, they're the devil, they're the worst people in the world.
Mhm.
I understand that they have their reasons. I understand that the offer is tempting. The offer is tempting
Mhm.
to say that you could be safe from what's coming. To say that right now it's cold, it's terrifying, and everybody is just going on trying to hope that they'll make it to the next day, that they won't be the ones that are the next on the line, because you see these people, you see them all the time, or you've been there and you crawled out, right?
Mhm.
You've been there with people who have medical debt, who were just next to you, shoulder to shoulder in the line, living a life, and their legs were just swept out, and you don't know if they're ever going to make it back. You're probably sure they're not going to make it back.
Mhm.
And you think, am I next? Am I one slip up away? Am I one shift of the economy away? This boat is just going down, and if it rocks one more time, am I the one going overboard?
Mhm.
And for them to get this offer to say, I can save you. I
Mhm.
can make sure that you don't drown. I can give you enough
Mhm.
that these will be other people's problems, right?
Mhm.
Not yours.
Okay.
It's tempting. It's tempting for anybody in that position. So they're not necessarily the worst people, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't sacrifice us. That doesn't mean that just because we might do the same thing in the circumstances, that maybe it's even remotely understandable that we don't have to still fight them, that we don't have to still call it out, right?
Mhm.
Because it is the wholesale uh, commodification of our future. It is the wholesale packaging and resale of our future.
Mhm.
There's no other way to describe it. It's not a matter of soft opinion. It's not a matter of politics. It's not a matter of what side of the bench you're on.
Mhm.
It's a matter of the fact that AI is here. It's moving faster than anybody really wants to admit, right?
Mhm.
It's a wonderful thing, and it's inevitably going to replace us. And we are going to experience, I would say, a historic time of turbulence
Mhm.
where
Well, we are
we'll,
already,
yeah,
right?
Mhm.
You guess
we
you
can
could,
feel the
yeah.
fingers of it already.
Yeah.
Where there's only one way to survive, right? Either we hold these people accountable and we experience a period of shift like
Riot.
our ancestors did.
Mhm.
Maybe, yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I'm not advocating for violence, but like
No,
Look,
every
no,
time they
no,
try to
I
no.
find,
literally think the same thing every day. Like, maybe we should listen to Malcolm X some.
No.
I mean, isn't that, there's
They
Yeah.
always
truth.
hype up
I
Martin
wish there
Luther
was.
King, but we don't talk about Malcolm X.
Right.
No, I mean, we have this conceit, right, that we live in
Mhm.
a civilized system, and we are taught in history class that the mechanisms of affecting change
Mhm.
were discourse and debate,
Mhm.
and people voice their concerns in a very peaceful way. And I genuinely wish that was the world we lived in. I
Mhm.
genuinely wish any of that had been true. But anytime you go back and read history, you find out no one would ever view the dignity to be a human being, not money, not riches, not anything extra, the base dignity of being a human being without the threat of violence. That doesn't mean that violence is our future. It just is a very sad reality in history, right? Even when in fiefdoms, right? Like, this is not a new problem, honestly. If you read about peasants, you think there's a huge difference between us and peasants, right? You think like they're going to have their minds blown if they were transported here. They'd be surprised at like 5 or 6 things. You and them would have a lot to talk about. Like that's a fact of the matter. Like even the propaganda that they experience, you read some of that propaganda and you're like, this could have been today. This is today. This is the shit I read about. So the reality of it is they experienced this. They experienced that when they tried to just ask for the basic dignity of being alive under their Lord, right? No one would give it to them. And the conceit we have is because the arguments weren't good enough, that surely a human being who was on top would hear a collective cry looking up at them and saying, I'm human, just like you. I'm scared. I'm hungry. I'm just trying to survive one more year. Right? That's all I'm trying to do. You would at least believe that it would be a compelling enough case for somebody with some base amount of humanity to look down and say, shit, you're right. Shit, you're just asking to not die. Right? That's all you're asking for. But then they say no. Historically, they say no. Historically, no matter how good your argument is, they not only say no, but their entire argument is that you're not as human as I am. I'm the human, and you are something close, but not exactly human, because they believe humans deserve this dignity. They do. If you infringe upon their rights, the first thing that they're there to say is that you cannot treat a human being this way. I will not treat my peers this way. I would not. There should be laws. There should be systems, and they very firmly believe in that humanity should not act this way, and humans have a base dignity. So it's not as if there's a philosophical difference there. They just don't extend that to you. That's the truth of it. The truth of it is you are so close to human. You are so close to human to them, but not enough to get the same protections as them. So you can beg all you want. You can have debates. You are operating on a false economy because you will never get the answer that, fine, now that you have proven to us you deserve human dignity, we'll give you human dignity. But if they're scared of you, sadly, historically, they always find a way to get that dignity to you very quickly. When the peasants revolt, when the guillotines go up, it's very shocking how quick they can move on these ideas that were unprofitable, ideas that were unfeasible, ideas that went against the church, that went against government, that went against humanity, that would devolve humanity. Suddenly they're fine. Suddenly they're very palatable options, right? I also did not mean to go on
No. I mean, it answers the
Oh,
question.
we love it.
a violent tangent of like,
No,
let's
because
No.
it
let's
actually
assemble the guillotine.
no. What you've said is actually goes back to the question of what the future would look like with like the AI problem and it technically solving humanity and what it would look like. So yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Like again, I'm not here to promote violence, chat. Like this is whatever. But yeah,
I am.
I mean, if you look back historically, if you look back historically, just like even the Boston Tea Party, like shit didn't change. You have to take action. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just we have a history of, and like again, like I'm not saying protests don't work and stuff like that, but it's not until you a peaceful protest. Let me say that. Not gonna say that peaceful protests don't work, but it just historically until like people have actually taken action. And sometimes it includes violence. Is that why am I getting so many messages today?
You're so popular.
Yeah, today, not every other day, but yeah, like it just, yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality of the situation. There was something else that hold on, just make sure so I get it phrased correctly.
Also, I didn't mean to like depress everybody that like the future is abysmal and AI is going to displace
No.
everybody.
No, I don't
and we're
think-
not going to have
Aw.
any jobs or food. So I am optimistic. I
Mhm.
do feel like there's going to be turbulence, but I genuinely believe this is a beautiful turning point for humanity. That it will be horrible to get there, but the end result is something that we will see in our lifetime, I'd imagine, and something that'll be worth it.
Yeah. There was something else I wanted to ask you. One last thing. Trying to remember what it was. So in relation to job security. Damn, I hate that. I should have wrote it down. Do you, Tiff or Money, do you have anything else that you wanted to ask Ali?
Random
No.
question.
Go ahead.
super random and just probably off topic, but what do you think of like deep fakes for AI?
Mhm.
I'm
Mm,
very curious to know
that is
because.
always such a weird subject. Yeah. So good.
Oh no, keep going, keep going.
I think it's one of those things that is the law has to do something about it, right? Obviously, there
Yeah.
has to be some common agreement that you can't
But
take
wouldn't that
away
be
people's. So good.
Go ahead.
but wouldn't that be regulation?
See, that's the exact thing of like
But people are gonna
regulations.
find a way to do it anyways.
Yeah, it's that argument that people have of like, why would you even regulate guns? The people who are doing crimes are
Right,
like not
right.
really following laws. The difference of it is this: regulation to slow the usage of AI
Mhm.
is to pretend that it would not take our jobs. But okay, so for example, you can regulate that a knife should have X specifications, that it can't be made out of like uranium to poison people, right? But you can't then say because it's regulated, we shouldn't make a law that says if you use the knife to stab somebody, that's not a separate thing. It is a separate thing. Using the tool that's available to do harm to other people is a thing that we can and should try to control and collectively express in our laws so that even if you break the law, at least the common understanding among our people is that this is an undignified or punishable thing, right? Because those laws do sometimes affect the way people grow up and the way what they think is acceptable, right? If you grow up in your entire life without the idea that something is an indignity to somebody else, you may never actually get to the point where you find out that it is. At the very least, the law would do that. But to say that then we should regulate AI by slowing its growth, that will never do anything. That will never do anything because there's no, I mean, the very people who are funding it are heavily invested in the profitability of it. And to pretend that they would not easily repeal those regulations or to pretend that the regulations wouldn't also interfere with the growth of humanity is a false economy. But the question then becomes, can this law be abused? And that's the difficulty. It absolutely can. If you put a law in the books that says you cannot use it to generate images of X or Y, that is a stepping stone towards more dangerous regulation that limits the usage of this tool even for regular people. That argument is academic, though. That argument is not as much as there's a seed of truth to it. I think the value of saving people's dignity is it far exceeds the slight danger of this being a stepping stone law to future regulations that limit creativity, right? The main thing right now is that you own so little in this world, actually, right? Most of us don't own that much, right? We pretend that we own these things around us, but even if you paid off your house, it can get taken away. Even the clothes on your back, someone on the street can rip them off of you. It's just that we live in a polite time where we assume the contract is that nothing can be taken away from me as long as it's close to me. It isn't. The little bit that you do own is you would hope at least would be this image of you. You would hope that this is uniquely who I am. I look in the mirror and I see myself. It should belong to you. It should belong to you. If we're not going to give each other equal rights, if we're not going to give each other even the kindness to, treat each other the way that we deserve to be treated, we should at least afford the basic tiny dignity to say, fine, what you see in the mirror belongs to you. And that's what this is infringing upon, to say, I have an AI thing. I should be able to make a deep fake of somebody doing whatever I want them to do, whether it's a political thing, whether it's a weird pornographic thing, whether it's a embarrassing meme, whatever it is, right? The base reality of it is you just saw somebody and you thought you could own their appearance, which you can't. You can't. You
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be able to. Even if it's a photo, like you just shouldn't be able to. So making likenesses of somebody, I definitely am. I'm a proponent
Right.
of regulating that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I think like in that aspect, like I know I feel a lot of we've been talking a lot about AI in the workforce and the career force, um, in terms of it being an employee, but like there are so many different aspects of it, including how it affects employees outside of the workplace, just like someone making a deep fake of somebody using it to sabotage, and I mean there was like this other podcast I was listening to, and in that podcast there was this woman who was like a victim of a stalker, and he went as far as to being able to find all of his all of her employers and things like that, and sent them like really inappropriate emails and things like that. And at that point, like your life is, I mean, you're stuck telling your business to everybody in order to let them know that you have a stalker or whatever. But it's like, imagine a deep fake or the wrong type of programming gets into the wrong hands and that person decides to send it. Like, we've all seen those, or at least I hope you guys have, like, those TikToks of like people going through Facebook and it's like boomers like replying to like an obviously AI generated photo of a baby who looks deformed and everyone's like, God bless, like people think that this is fake. And it's like those people that are believing what they're seeing on Facebook are the same people that are hiring us
True.
at some of these jobs. So if they got a deep fake sent to them of me, it's like, how much can I trust that they can tell that that really isn't me, and how can I prove that that's sabotage,
Mhm.
right? I mean, but it's just, I go into that depth just to like bring up a point. Like, I definitely agree with you. I definitely think there should be some type of regulation, like not even regulation, like laws, like laws against, like, because regulating it can be, you got people who know code, you got people who are gonna manipulate it to work the way they want to, but like like legal offenses, if it was generated by somebody, like it should not be. There should be like legal repercussions for that, even if like it's like you said, people are always going to do whatever they want. Like when you mentioned laws, like the gun laws, right, to regulate gun usage. I mean, murder is illegal and people do it anyways. Not that it doesn't matter. It might still happen, but at least, because anybody can do anything, right? Like, I live with my fiance. My fiance could kill me if he wants to, like, he's right here, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
And I hope he won't ever. But it's like, I feel safe that like there's a law. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Even if it's still hard to kind of, bet on, you still have that. I don't know. Even if it's like, I don't know, like some type of safe, because that can cause you to lose your job. You're either losing your job to AI, or because of AI, you're losing your job.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Get it out of the way.
It's like from the outside and the inside.
No, I totally agree that at least this gives you recourse, right? And not everybody
Yeah.
can take that recourse. That recourse is a privilege for the people who have the money to pursue, legal representation or whatever. But at least a path exists that if you find out this thing has been done,
Right.
you're not powerless. You're not. Some small measure of revenge or justice or recompense can exist.
Just
Yeah.
to respond to what Chad's saying. Mario says not to throw shade into my ex-friend and its ex-artist, but I resonated with what Ali said about having something and it could be still taken away. Because when I decided to part ways with my ex-friend, she decided to be petty and take back the art she gave for me for free. And I had documentation, but she went to Twitch about it and they still asked me to take them down. I wasn't gonna use them anymore, but it still sucks. So yeah.
Mm.
Uh
Yeah.
yeah.
Even if it was given to you and it was yours,
Yeah.
ripped out of your hands.
I
I
remember
love it here.
but I
No,
remember
all I
my
said is I love it here.
oh
Sorry.
no worries. I remember my last question, and it truly would be my last question. Just because I know I said the question I asked you, but I lied. I'm a liar. Hold on. I wrote it down this time, so I didn't forget.
Good.
Oh, because I switched over. Okay. So we talked earlier. We were talking about how like money is kind of losing its value in the sense, right? And you can kind of see that too in terms of like most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, right? Like you need like 2 or 3, 4 jobs just to get by. Like say if you just wanted to work, just to live by yourself. So I guess my question would be like in terms of money losing its value or just its significance in terms of like how we live. What do you think the focus of our government should be? Because I know you said like since it's losing its value and thing, because in face of AI and everything that's happening in the future that we're moving towards, what would you think? And this is technically doesn't have to do with job security, but what do you think would be the correct path for our government to be taking right now, knowing that the future
I,
is kind of AI?
I wish I had a good answer to this because if I did,
Mm-hmm.
I would for sure go down in history as like one of the great fundamental changes of our human direction or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I genuinely don't. I don't know what the government should be doing. I just know that the only thing that makes sense is the removal between this relationship between money and human dignity.
Mm-hmm.
that has existed for a long time, but it's outlived its use and it doesn't describe reality anymore. That's all the government can do. The government had the ability, the authority, the collective will to enact these systems in the first place, and it is the only one that can successfully tear them down, right? Not only in terms of resources, but in terms of outreach, in terms of implementation, in terms of even drafting an idea. It's the only entity that we've created
Mhm.
that successfully does this throughout history. Uh, it would require the best minds of our time, obviously.
Mhm.
I can't even tell you the direction it should go in.
Mhm.
I can only tell you the only thing to do is get rid of money. The only thing to do is get rid of labor. The only thing to do is get rid of this relationship that has allowed one party to prosper while the other dies, only being given brief periods of reprieve where if that losing party gets together and starts to hang a few of them or threaten them or put up a guillotine, the other side offers you a dignity for a short amount of time, long enough for your kids or your grandkids to forget and start bootlicking again.
Mhm.
So the cycle is only really breakable when the thing that drives it, the lifeblood of it, is removed.
Mhm.
And it was never going to happen in our time if not for AI. It was something that it was never really taken seriously. But like most things that humans are incapable of doing, it's taken out of our hands, and that's a blessing and a curse. But it's taken out of our hands.
Mhm.
AI is doing it for us, so it'll force action one way or the other. Because how many of us would starve in the street before, I don't know, any idea seems better,
Mhm.
before nobody really can look away? Because right now you can, right?
Mhm.
I do. I'll very candidly admit that I'm aware of people suffering, but I've worked my entire life like everybody else does
Yeah.
to insulate yourself from it as much as you can,
Mhm.
right? You hope time gets better, but you make your main goal to just hope that enough money, enough work, enough opportunities, enough good decisions will insulate you to some degree from human indignity, the indignity that you see happening to other people who didn't make it.
Mhm.
You maybe sometimes believe they incorrectly, but you believe they deserved it by not working as hard or whatever. Sometimes you don't. You kind of know they didn't. You know they didn't deserve this, but it's almost a lesson for you, a horrifying lesson that I don't want to be that. I don't want to end up there, right?
Mhm.
And as much as that's fair, it it puts up a wall around how far you can extend your empathy.
Mhm.
You can feel it, but you aren't going to risk yourself to change the system. You aren't going to risk yourself to imagine any kind of world where dignity is not arbitrarily robbed from people who are working just as hard as you.
Mhm.
So the decision is taken out of our hands. This thing will rob us all.
Mhm.
For better or for worse, it'll rob us all. It will put us all so close to the indignity that you really can't use anything to insulate yourself. And that includes any amount of money, right? That's the truth of it.
Mhm.
So when that happens, no one can ignore it. Our government can't ignore it. People can't ignore it. It's not one of those things where aid helps, welfare helps, re-education programs help. Nothing helps. There's no helping this. It's a dead thing.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Oh,
Also,
I
didn't
mean,
mean to make that depressing.
no, it's not depressing. It's just realistic. Just like,
Yeah.
because like I said, I feel like Americans are working, at least because again, I just only, I can only speak for America. Money can speak for Canada, but it just feels like that's the majority of Americans are just working paycheck to paycheck and worrying about like, I think I was talking to this about Tiff, talking with this about with Tiff. Oh my God, I can't English. No,
You got
put me
it.
back in school.
Try again.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm just kidding.
yeah. About like how one bad thing like your car breaking down, or you get a medical bill, or your cat, you find out your cat has a cancerous tumor or whatever, can like really put you in the negative and like really bring down everything that you had planned. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
just everywhere in America, with to the point where you said like money then becomes insignificant, right, if you can't live. So
Yeah.
I think it's
No one
just
can
being
earn.
realistic. So that's why I was curious. I know there's not like no correct answer in terms of like where our government should focus on. I think we were talking about earlier where I kind of wish they would focus on infrastructure and like invest in like the rail system to make our jobs, make it easier to go to work so that we can do our job. So we don't have to worry about like transportation and beating the rush and things like that. And that would help. But
Yeah.
again, the example that you brought about like how it's like they don't want to take the risk because they don't see it bringing in any value until someone goes off and does it themselves, and they're like, oh yeah, we knew it was going to be a hit or whatever. is kind of the same
Yeah.
thing. You can kind of tie it back to that. So,
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That is exactly what's happened to our government is that it's run like a business,
mhm,
and businesses are good at what they do. That's fantastic that there's it's a very specific animal,
mhm,
right? And it's good at what it does. And you can't say that it should do anything else. It
mhm,
should do what it does. We need a kind of tool that seeks out efficiency, that seeks out I mean, I'm not really staunchly pro-capitalist. The only good thing about capitalism is that it can generate a lot of food. It can
yep,
generate a lot of products, right?
mhm,
Purely because it's an animal that can find these efficiencies and refine a system very well. No other system really does it so good. But the problem isn't so much of that nature anymore, right?
mhm.
The problem is I actually don't know the words to. I don't want to go on a depressing tangent.
No, it's not
No,
depressing. It's just being
Uh,
realistic,
Oh,
man. Like,
you're being very
Yeah.
real.
yeah, it's just realism.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that system can run a government because that's not what a government is. A
Mhm,
government is specifically someone, and this is a really old analogy, but someone who plants the seeds of a tree that they'll never see. They'll never see ever.
mhm,
They are planting it
Right.
because they know my great grandchildren or great grandchildren, not even mine, anybody's, will be able to eat that fruit. I'm building for sustainability on a scale that regular people don't work at. Companies don't work that way, at least not anymore. They work quarter to quarter,
mhm,
right? And that's what our policy is doing. Our policy is doing trying to get the maximum optics for this quarter,
mhm,
for the next election cycle, for the next, round of fundraising, for the next big, poster, for the next big social media blast that's going out.
mhm,
None of those policies are your job, though, right? Those jobs are regular people's jobs. The day-to-day of what we do
mhm,
is left up to small municipalities, small government, local governments. Their job is specifically supposed to be the broader government that affects trends over time, that affects how our society grows, what it grows into. Honestly, if you're ever doing it right, I should never hear about you. It's
mhm,
not a glamorous job, and it never will be. And it's by its nature. I genuinely should never know shit about you. You should have. Unfortunately, I mean, it's not as if you didn't know this. It deserves credit, but like you signed up for this job
mhm,
and you may have done it under false pretenses if you were looking to make a ton of money or if you were looking to get famous or have your constituents be grateful to you. Your constituents shouldn't even know about you
mhm,
because your job is supposed to be that subtle. It's supposed to be that it will have an effect.
mhm,
It will for sure have an effect, the greatest effect possible, right? These regulations are the reason we can have clean air, the reason we can have some fair treatment, the reason our bosses can't require us to work 80 hours, every week for fun. But the thing is, we don't know the name of the people who did them. They didn't get credit for it. They didn't get to do a social media blast if I provided my district with $50 million of funding. Fuck you, you didn't. You made a shitty deal that you probably voted against it, and now you're trying to get some credit off it for the next votes. That's how you're running your thing. You're
yep,
running it like a business.
yeah,
You're running it like a resume builder. You're running it like a connections builder. You are running it for short-term profits, and the government is not about short-term profits. It's about, hey, maybe the next generation should all be able to read. Wouldn't that be a radical idea, right?
No child left behind.
I mean, if you try to pitch public education now,
Mhm,
dead on arrival,
mhm,
dead on arrival. If you try to pitch public lunches now, that was a bipartisan move
mhm,
during the Great Depression. School lunches did not get heavy resistance from Republicans or Democrats. They didn't get resistance from anybody really,
mhm,
because the idea was this is America, and their kids starving,
mhm,
and that's an insane thought. It doesn't matter if I agree with you on politics. That is an insane thought.
mhm,
So we have schools. We require kids to go to schools. What if in the schools we just gave them at least one meal? At least one meal. I don't know these kids. I'm never going to meet these kids. They're not my fucking kids. But they are what's going to be the generation that I retire into. They
mhm,
are going to be the doctors, nurses, engineers. I can't pretend that if I don't feed and educate that generation, somehow I'm going to eat. You're not. You're not going to eat. That's what this generation is kind of realizing, right? The boomers came into it with a wonderful infrastructure. I mean, did it suck in a lot of ways? Absolutely, absolutely. But social programs were the strongest they'd ever been. Why? Because the previous generation had seen the most horrifying conflicts that humanity had ever seen. War on a scale that didn't even make sense before that. That couldn't really even be described before that, right?
mhm,
They had everything taken from them. And in that horror, in that sort of realization that no one's looking out for you, no one gives a shit whether you live or die, they made, at least temporarily, good regulations, good safety nets that made sure the next generation would inherit some care, some guarantee of dignity. That if tomorrow you lose your job, we have welfare. You can't afford medical care, everybody should be able to go to the doctor, right? Your kid can't eat. Here's some really robust, meal programs. Here's SNAP cards. Here's all these wonderful programs that now boomers hate, but very, very duplicitously took advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
are
still
the
do.
reason for America's success.
Mhm.
They are genuinely the reason. Because we took care of the people who could not take care of themselves, who were hurt, who were disadvantaged, who just got unlucky sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all prospered. We all genuinely prospered. And now everybody pretends that they prospered on their own and that somehow their economy is an isolated economy of one person. If your dollar is worth something, it is only because the person next to you's dollar is worth something. It is only because they are able to eat, so you can eat. That is how it's always been.
Mhm.
That is how it always will be. That is the base economics. That is not a liberal view. That is not a controversial view. That is genuinely the mathematics of the situation. That you cannot prosper as a nation, you can't prosper as a neighborhood if you do not guarantee the prosperity of those who are around you.
Mhm.
It's a selfish thing. Don't even think of it as like
No.
I don't want to pay for other people's kids.
Mhm.
You are paying for your future. It is the only way to get your future.
Okay. Yeah, no, definitely
I
answers
don't
my
even think
question.
that was related to the question. Actually,
No, it
Oh
was.
my gosh,
It was
stop beating
because it goes
yourself up.
back to, again, what should our government be focusing on, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, agreed. Like a lot of social programs, I feel like that was, I don't know when we lost our way and we kind of deviated from that. Because again, I don't follow politics too heavily nowadays. I used to, but not anymore. But yeah, I
Reagan
100%.
Reagan is when we fell from that.
Yeah, you think? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Reagan is absolutely, I mean, only a source? No, but for sure, Reagan was the banner child and got the ball rolling on a lot of this deregulation. It started this American idea of American exceptionalism means that we're individually exceptional, not exceptional as a nation, and that prosperity is the equivalent of morality. It's that it's a virtue. It's just as sometimes beauty is equated to virtue or something. It's this idea of like, because you are wealthy, you must have done something right. If you're religious, it means you must have God's favor. If you're not religious, it means that you made the right decision, just smart. But you're not. You're not. Historically, you're not. Demonstrably, you're not, right? You're just, you won the lottery. And you stood on the shoulders of 1 million people.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack, man. And I feel like we can definitely go about this forever. And there's a lot of more questions I probably would want to ask you that aren't related to the topic. But as I promised, that will be my last question. Though I have more. But yeah, Money or Tiff, did you have anything you wanted to add or anything you wanted to ask?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I don't. No.
Well, Ali, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate you. I learned a lot, and I think I
Me
hopefully
too.
think Hope Chat took a lot away from that. Do you have anything, any projects or any place we can, if you want us to follow you on, or anything we should look out for?
Oh, I am socially non-existent.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I have absolutely nothing to plug. I want to say also for sure, thank you for having me on and for letting me ramble on and on about different
Thank
topics.
you for being here.
Yeah.
Direction changes every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I would
Yay! I'm so glad you did that. I forgot.
we're pro rambling.
Mm.
But yeah, no. The only thing I would plug is that it's unrelated to me entirely. But if anyone is looking for a book recommendation, please read Caliban and the Witch.
Hey,
One of the
Oh.
most eye-opening books I've
Cool.
read in recent times. It's a little dry, but genuinely, it's such a wonderful learning experience, and it's such a good historical context for like. Most
What's
of
the
stuff
name
we
of
use
it?
today.
Can we put it in chat,
Caliban.
maybe?
Oh yeah, sure.
Put it in chat.
Sure thing.
I guess that will be our resource chat in terms of what we give you, because I don't really have anything that would help with job security. I'm trying to secure a job myself, so.
Oh.
But yeah, Money, do you have anything that you want to plug or bring up, or any future events? Anything?
You can follow me on Twitch right here, Hunisa, and yes, you can follow me same username on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, any social media.
YouTube?
There. Yeah, girl.
Them shorts be
Yeah, I'm
hitting,
on
those
YouTube.
shorts.
Yeah, I post a lot of shorts, but yeah. Anyways, yeah.
What?
You can also I have a Ko-Fi shop if
Oh.
you guys want any
This is
anime
great.
glass paintings. I do those, so you can. And last but not least, 20% off of Rogue Energy drinks if you want.
Hey, let's go.
I
my code.
love.
Oh,
All for me.
I thought. Oh,
Wait, no, because I want to watch all your videos now.
Oh god.
I thought I put the command. in.
yeah.
I guess.
Oh, it's
Oh, M
exclamation mark
socials,
M
right?
socials, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Also, last but not least, Tiff, do you want to talk about something that's coming up? It starts with a
Oh.
P. You want to plug that,
Oh.
or you know?
Oh, why is it not showing up?
Yeah, it's weird. I thought, yeah.
So,
It's the bot.
oh, G.
Okay, never mind.
G is the sweetest person in the world, guys. Let me tell you.
Oh, I know why. Oh, okay, I have to fix it later. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's fine. There is talk in the town about me making a podcast.
Oh.
I'm not going to stream it live, but I am going to do like video and audio. And I did actually record my first episode, but I have to redo it because I feel like I was really nervous.
Aww.
But I know, because it just didn't flow and I had to do a lot of cuts and I was like, oh, this isn't seamless, whatever. So first, you can follow me on my socials at Tiff Marie JPEG, almost on everything. Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. I can't think of anything else right now, but I have that linked on my Twitch as well. But I have my Patreon. My Patreon will also have some of my like podcasts initially. But the podcast name is gonna be Inattentive. So you can like keep
Cute.
an eye out for that.
Hey,
right?
okay,
Isn't
okay.
it?
That's what you did there.
Originally I was gonna do this one podcast. That's what I wanted to name it.
Mm-hmm.
This one podcast, and I wanted to kind of have it be like like when the idea was that when people were talking about the podcast, they'd be like, oh, or it's that one podcast, sorry, or it'd be like, that one podcast that was talking about shitting on the floor, right? Like it would be like the topic, right? But that would be the idea, or it'd be like that one podcast where the host was talking about being depressed, and like the episode would be named like being depressed, and like I don't know, I imagine it'd be like that,
one
but it already
podcast
exists.
talking about being depressed. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna name it Inattentive and hope it just sticks.
I mean, I like it.
But yeah,
It's unique.
so-
It has your
it's
name.
no notes.
I thought it was cute. I thought it was cute, and I'm like working on the logo and stuff. I'm working on like a logo for myself in general, like as a rebrand. But, anyways, yes, guys, G is really excited, and he always gets me riled up about this stuff, and he keeps me motivated.
Not gonna let it die.
Yeah. But yes, I hope. I don't know when I wanted to have the podcast out, but I have to re-record it, so I don't know. But if you wanted to follow me anywhere, you can find it there eventually.
Well, yeah.
Eventually.
Hey, okay. I just want to thank all of you guys again for coming up, and again, thank you, Money, for like putting all the graphics and stuff together. You guys can thank her for the overlay and stuff like that, and the posters as well. Yeah, I don't think. Well, I have a project that I'm working on with Money that's coming up in the works, but I gotta kind of wait to talk about that because we still gotta talk about that.
Why did you
That's
edge?
coming along.
Yeah, now it's building suspense.
Now
I'm ending on a cliffhanger.
Maybe in the next
Cliffhanger.
episode
This
we'll
is
talk
advanced
about
marketing
it.
tactics, is what it is.
Yeah, cliffhangers. You know how that works. Jon Snow. Yeah. But yeah, again, Ali, thank you so much, dude, for coming on again. I can listen to you talk for hours. You know that. Thank you, Chad, again for the views, and yeah, moving forward in terms of the podcast, we have enough followers to get monetized, but I still have to do
Affiliated.
Monetized. Yeah. But I still have to do more episodes in order to meet that quota of like you stream multiple times. So probably will when money's available also, but might have other like co-hosts come and like fill in depending on when money's not available or not.
Yeah, like Tiff.
Yeah,
Thanks
like
for
Tiff,
coming
thanks for
back
coming
on,
through.
Tiff.
Yeah. Yeah, but definitely go follow Money and Tiff on their socials.
Follow G as well.
No, don't
Yeah,
follow me.
hello.
Don't worry about me.
He's up
Don't
here
worry
for
about
me.
me.
Yeah. Follow G on Twitch.
Yeah.
Oh, this is G.
Yeah. I'm up here.
Yeah.
And eventually when Ali has I mean, you can go follow him on Guroku. I'll try to bully him into streaming something. Maybe he'll stream some
This is
Helldiver.
one of those high school email situations.
Yeah.
This is the screen name I made in high school, and it hasn't changed.
Yeah. But as you can tell, Ali is also amazing. So I mean, maybe follow Garoku 18. You might see something, you may not, you know. But yeah, thanks guys, and until next time, beautiful friends, stay gold, and see you on episode 7.
Do we rate out?
Yeah, I mean we can if you want to.
Okay. Rating
who's
is so fun.
on? Oh, Eric's on. Oh, well, he's playing party
Oh,
animals.
true. Oh yeah. He's doing a donathon, I think.
Oh, is he? Okay.
He's trying to raise
I guess
funds.
we'll rate out to
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, he's doing a dono.
Eric then.
Let's rate to him. Yeah.
Okay. So let me just type it in the chat real quick.
Do we have a raid command? I don't remember if we have one.
No.
Oh no, the commands don't work.
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't do the bots. TV Jesus. Yeah, Eric is playing party animals right now, so I'm not sure if he has like open community, so you guys might be able to jump into that. Yeah, but again, thanks guys for coming through, and we'll see you next time. Say hi to Eric, give him our best, and bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
I didn't even copy and paste.
No, it's funny because Lucy.
Oh,
was
I
like,
didn't see
she's
it.
Vibing.
Okay. Let me stop streaming. Okay. Yeah, thanks guys.